This is Monty in the Morning, the show Phoenix Magazine readers voted #1 talk radio show in Arizona.
#1 during your morning commute.
#1 whenever news breaks during your day.
And #1 whenever and wherever you want to talk sports.
Now it's time for Monty in the Morning.
Hey, yo, man, how the heck are you? It is Tuesday, July the 26th, 2022. And that means we are just 3 more days away from a huge announcement on this program. Friday morning, 8 Mountain Time. Be here or
be square
somewhere else, because you can watch the show wherever you want. On your iPhone, on your iPad, on your... Well, nobody has an Android, but if you did, I mean, you could.
Yeah.
I'm sure we'll have some other spin on the Utah Jazz Friday morning as well. Because nothing is happening. Except Shaq was right about Donovan Mitchell. We'll talk Utah Jazz, Donovan Mitchell coming up on the show as well. A big update on the Pac-12 TV negotiations. Wait until you hear what the estimated revenue per team in the Pac-12 is for their new TV deal. Ugh. Big 12 or Pac-12, who survives? We'll talk about that, and Chipotle's out here trying to kill people again.
Yeah.
Are you at least going to admit that I was correct about Chipotle?
No. What?
No?
Idiot. I would never do that.
We have had on this program huge debates about Chipotle.
Uh-huh.
I mean, huge debates.
Right.
And I have acquiesced about that. So we'll get into that in the non-sports part of the program. But I do want to start with Donovan Mitchell and the Utah Jazz, because I do think there is an interesting conversation around what Donovan Mitchell and the Utah Jazz should be doing, could be doing, and what how would you? I don't even know how you best classify this, because I think it's one of these situations where the Utah Jazz have an asset in Donovan Mitchell. I don't think there's any doubt about that. But the question lingers and remains, what is Donovan Mitchell's value? What is Donovan Mitchell worth? And the baseline question, obviously being answered by the New York Knicks right now, is Donovan Mitchell worth 6 first-round picks? Well, I think you got to go back to the end of the season. And I think you have to think about how the season's ended the last 2-3 years. And you have to ask yourself how much responsibility is in the lap of Donovan Mitchell. So on that level, Jake, how much responsibility would you put on Donovan Mitchell for the failings of the Utah Jazz?
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's definitely, he has a certain level of responsibility. How much of that is on him? I mean, I'm going to say, yeah, a decent chunk of that is on him. I don't know, what percentage to put it at or how to kind of quantify that, but you're Donovan Mitchell. You're the star of the Jazz. You were the face of the franchise and still are. Obviously, he's still a Jazz man, hasn't been traded yet, but yeah, I mean, I think that you have to put a good chunk of it, and I think that the Donovan haters or the people who aren't big fans of Donovan are going to say that his defense is lacking and that really killed him in the playoffs, and Don didn't make shots and he had a rough run. Like, yeah, I mean, you could say all that about Donovan Mitchell, but what I'm going to sit here and say is that Donovan Mitchell is also the reason that you got to the playoffs. Donovan Mitchell is also the reason that you've been the team that you've been the last several years. So that's why I say I feel like for Donovan, it's just such a difficult place to be, because you haven't done enough to really get to that level where nobody doubts what you're able to do, but people believe that you have so much more to show. And so that's the tough part. So, how responsible is he? Yeah, I think he's got a big part in it, but at the same time, he's also responsible for the team you were and all the success you had. So that's why I think it's really difficult.
But would you say he's worth 6 first-round picks? Before we answer that question, I want to play this video from Shaq after the Jazz got knocked out of the playoffs by the Dallas Mavericks, because obviously Shaquille O'Neal has been one of the noted critics of Donovan Mitchell. Obviously, they had that odd interaction on TNT that one night, a year ago now, where Shaquille O'Neal said that Donovan Mitchell wasn't good enough to carry a team to a championship. But this bite from Shaq in particular on TNT after the Jazz got knocked out, I think is a very, very salient point right now. I mean, to me, that is spot on.
Yeah.
That is exactly right. That's Shaquille O'Neal on Inside the NBA on TNT. And I guess that's the question here is how good is Donovan Mitchell? Because 6 first-round picks to me that's way too much for Don. And I look at the New York Knicks right now and I look at the hesitation. You hear all these reports. Shams came out again this week and said that Washington and Sacramento and Atlanta and Miami. I can tell you, talking to NBA sources yesterday, the New York Knicks are the one team that is really pursuing Donovan Mitchell consistently on a weekly, if not daily basis with the Utah Jazz. And some of that seems that fire to have burned out. And I think to Shaq's point there, I don't value Donovan Mitchell at the level of a Jason Tatum, at the level of a Donovan Mitchell. And I think, as we've talked about on this show, Donovan Mitchell just hasn't been good enough. That's the biggest question for me. Has Donovan Mitchell been good enough? And I would tell you unequivocally, he has not. And I do believe, as I've said, I think pretty much every day in this offseason, I believe that Donovan Mitchell has the ceiling to be a top 5 player in this league. I think he could be the very best player of his generation. But he has to take action to make that happen. And I don't think that happens in New York. I think that happens in Utah before it would ever happen in New York. I think if Donovan Mitchell ever is to reach that top 5 mantle in the NBA, I think he's going to have to do it in Utah because I don't think it ever happens in New York. I could see it happening somewhere else like Miami, who's got a championship history in their organization. I could see that happening. But are you telling me if Donovan Mitchell goes to Atlanta, if he goes to Toronto, if he goes to Washington, certainly Sacramento, are you telling me he's going to be a top 5 player in the NBA at any point in his career? Because I'm here to tell you he's not. That's not going to happen. It can happen here in Utah. And I think it can happen in a very select few other places. I don't believe the New York Knicks are one of those. I just don't think you have the atmosphere. I don't think you have, what's the right way to say it, the infrastructure in place to develop quality guys and to develop the guys that the New York Knicks have invested money in. That's a high bar to meet. And I look at a guy like a Jalen Brunson, I think is a very good example of this. Jalen Brunson is far from a finished product, but now you've paid him like a guy that can carry a franchise. And I just don't know that that's the right thing to do there. And you've paid Mitchell Robinson, and you're going to pay RJ Barrett, and you're paying, in this case, you would be paying Donovan Mitchell. None of those guys are cemented superstars in this league. So, Jake, when we talk about, Donovan's top side and you hear what Shaq says there, I don't think he's wrong at all.
No, I don't think Shaq is wrong, and I think that Donovan is in the window in his career where he has a lot of proving to do, and I think that dynamic of him having to really prove just how damn good he is what has a huge impact on the New York Knicks situation or any other trade scenario that would be at play because. And this is what has made this offseason so fascinating. Like if you look at the Kevin Durant situation. If you would have said to me on day one when Kevin had requested a trade, hey, yeah, this is going to get done inside of a week. It's going to be a 4-team deal, and it's going to be pretty straightforward from that standpoint. I wouldn't have blinked an eye. I would have said, yeah, that makes perfect sense. It's Kevin Durant. You know what you're getting. He basically puts you in the NBA Finals every single year, and if it's not the NBA Finals, it's definitely the conference finals in either conference, and you're a super relevant team. You know what you're getting in Kevin Durant. But we can't say that in Donovan Mitchell because the defense has been suspect. The turnovers have been too much. The shot making hasn't quite been there when it needed to be there. And I think those things are what bring hesitancy around 6 first-round picks, around 3 players, and I get, like yesterday on the show, we had a debate about, who's getting fleeced. Like if Leon Rose for the Knicks were to do this deal, is he getting fleeced? And I think definitively you would have to say yes if it's the 6 first-round picks and 3, 2 young guys in a veteran deal. That's not going to work for the Knicks. And so that's why I say, for all you Utah Jazz fans out there wondering, all right, well, when's Don going to be traded or when's this going to happen? Well, it'll start to happen when Danny comes off of that price. And that's what we've been saying from day one of the Donovan Mitchell trade stuff. The price is the price. And if you're willing to meet it, great. The deal will be done. For Danny Ainge, the conversation is not about what Donovan is worth. The conversation is what is the asking price. And I think those are 2 very different things. And I think Donovan has work to do to legitimize that value.
Yeah, but I think Donovan Mitchell is a magnet for drama. And I don't even know that that's his own fault. Like, I don't think Donovan Mitchell goes out of his way to be a drama queen. I really don't. I think Donovan is just one of those guys that is magnetic on the floor. His game is something that I think a lot of people like and want, but that creates drama. Because, again, you have a situation in a guy like Donovan Mitchell that's linked to one of the most dramatic franchises in the NBA and the New York Knicks, and you have a guy that is polarized and separated a fan base because you traded Rudy Gobert, which, again, the perception was you traded Rudy Gobert to keep Donovan Mitchell, which I think is pretty close to reality. But I also think there's a lot of people in Jazz fandom that don't like Donovan Mitchell. I think there's a lot of complexities around our community here in Salt Lake City. I think there's a lot of complexity around who Donovan Mitchell is as an activist and what his belief system is and what his political views are. And just all of this stuff has created a certain aura of drama around Donovan Mitchell. And frankly, I don't know that it's warranted. I don't think that Donovan Mitchell has said or done anything to drive all the drama that surrounds him. And frankly, if the Jazz do trade Donovan Mitchell, I don't think they're getting 6 first-round picks. Let's just be honest about it. But if the Jazz do trade Donovan Mitchell, I think you're looking at a situation where somebody's going to get a gem. And because I think Donovan Mitchell is going to come out, I think he's going to average 30 points a game the first half of the year. I don't think there's any doubt he's going to be an all-star. I have no doubt about that. None whatsoever. No hesitation.
Yeah.
Donovan Mitchell is going to be an all-star this season. Whether that's in a Jazz uniform or a Knick uniform, Donovan Mitchell is going to be in the all-star game. And I think when you look at what he is doing this offseason, it's no different than when he's done any other offseason. He is busting his ass. And that's exactly what you ask him to do. And my feeling is, and I could be completely wrong about this, but my feeling is that Donovan Mitchell is ready to erupt. And I hope it's in a Jazz uniform. Because, again, and I don't know how much more clearly or unequivocally I can state this. I've been told point blank multiple times, Donovan Mitchell has never asked for a trade.
Yeah.
He has never said, I don't want to be here. He has never hinted he doesn't want to be here. I don't believe any of the stories that he's leveraging CAA to make a trade happen. There is no evidence that has ever happened.
Infowars.com.
I mean, seriously, like there's nobody has ever said that Donovan Mitchell has orchestrated some large conspiracy operation to get himself out of Salt Lake City.
But isn't there value in him talking a little bit more through the offseason? Because that's one thing that just hasn't happened. Like,
I don't know about that.
But, like, we talk about how Donovan, has kind of been a magnet for drama. And, obviously the Donovan Mitchell, Rudy Gobert thing was a whole saga, if you will, for this team. Part of me thinks, hey, why hasn't Donovan said anything? I respect the fact that he's not out in the media and he's not doing a lot. But even if all it takes is one 10-minute interview on FaceTime for him to just say, hey, I haven't asked for a trade. I love it here. I want to be here. I'm super excited about the new uniforms and the direction of the organization. Can't wait to suit it back up in the fall. That is literally all it would take to settle down all the drama. But that hasn't happened. And so I'm just curious if that's a strategy. Is it a strategy for Donovan not to say much? Or what the point is?
I think, as a friend of mine just texted me, when Donovan talks, he loses money.
Well, that's fair.
It's that simple. When Donovan talks, he loses leverage. Right now, I just don't. What's the upside? What would you have him say? What would you? Well,
I think there's always. Yeah, maybe there's not a huge upside per se, but I think like in the Rudy thing, when we were in the heart of, hey, there's locker room drama. Donovan and Rudy don't like each other. There's division in the team. I would have loved for Don to have just come out and said, hey, yeah, every team goes through some stuff, and we're working through some things. I think that's.
But he said on TNT. That, hey, we have great chemistry. When they were 11-4 and they had won 7 in a row, he comes out on TNT. I watched it last night and said, we have great chemistry. So then all of a sudden, the whole Rudy meltdown happens and people are like, well, you said you had great chemistry. I just think Donovan Mitchell is well aware that he loses when he talks, no matter what. Says the right thing? No, that's a loss. Says the wrong thing? Well, that's a bigger loss. Like, there's nothing right now. If you think about the situation that he's in, and if the Jazz are to trade Donovan Mitchell, if he comes out and says, I don't want to be traded, what happens? The Jazz lose currency. Well, I want to be traded. What happens? Well, the Jazz lose currency. If he says, I want to go to the Knicks, what happens? The Jazz lose currency. If he says, I don't want to go to the Knicks, well, now all of a sudden he's a bad guy in his hometown. Like, there's no winning for Donovan Mitchell. He loses every time he says something. So when he comes on a show like ours, we're going to ask him pointed questions. And I will candidly tell you, I've asked Donovan Mitchell over a dozen times to come on this show. His agent has not responded one single time. I have DM'd Donovan on every platform. He has not responded one time. Donovan Mitchell does not want to talk. He does not want to do interviews. I have talked to just about every other Utah Jazz player or his agent, and trust me when I say, when they have something they want to talk about, they'll be here.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Donovan Mitchell doesn't want to talk because I think he's savvy enough to know that there's no upside to that.
Yeah.
There just isn't. And I think, frankly, I think he's probably doing the right thing because, again, Donovan Mitchell, no player is worth all this drama.
Right.
Kobe was not worth all that drama in L.A. Shaq was not worth all that drama in L.A.
Right.
You think about Kevin Durant. Is Kevin Durant worth all of this drama? Is Kyrie Irving, James Harden, are any of them worth all of this drama?
Yeah, I mean, I guess not. I mean, I think the only guy that I could definitively say has been worth it is LeBron because he won a championship with the Lakers, you know? But at the same time, like that's one season. So yeah, I mean, there's most guys are probably not worth all the drama. The thing I worry about for Donovan is just that, you know, when you don't say anything and you're going through an off season like this, you know, people are going to make assumptions, or there's going to be conversations had, and I think that it's just an interesting time in his career. I guess I just go back to this coming season is paramount for him. This coming season is crucial because if you can come out and you can have that 30 point a night, you know, for the first 6-8 weeks, you know, you can be that dominant of a guy. That's going to do wonders for your reputation, and it's going to do wonders for whatever team you're on. And by the way, I'm just going to keep saying, I think there is a lot of value in keeping him because now you get to see what Donovan Mitchell is like without a 7-footer slowing down the pace of the offense, without a 7-footer eating a bunch of space. You know, what does that look like? Again, Donovan Mitchell in space in favorable matchups. What does that look like? Well, I think that looks like 30 points a night. I think that looks like Don in the flow, Don feeling good, Don shot making, Don putting other guys in great positions. That's what I think it looks like.
Well, and I don't think you're wrong. I think there is. It'll be interesting to see how this all plays out. Yeah. I am really fascinated to see because I think the Knicks need this trade. Let's just be honest about it. I think the Knicks need this trade. The Knicks need overwhelming community support because I think as much as we talk about the Jazz needing wins this offseason, I think the Knicks, the NBA is better when the Knicks, the Lakers, the Celtics are good.
Those nameplates.
When the big markets are good, markets like San Antonio, certainly Salt Lake City, second-tier markets that are smaller in population, that don't have the TV size of a LA, Chicago, New York, Boston, Philly. Mm-hmm. Those big TV markets have to be relevant. The Knicks have been irrelevant for a decade. It has been a generation of basketball fans who don't know who Walt Clyde Frazier is, who don't know the Wes Unseld story, who don't know how good a shooter Allen Houston was, who don't know what a badass Larry Johnson was, or Charles Oakley was, or that Patrick Ewing missed a finger roll instead of a dunk. Like,
right.
They don't know that. They don't know the John Starks dunk. Like, the Knicks, when they're good, the NBA is better for it. I think the Knicks need this deal. I think the Knicks need a full building every night at the Garden.
Yeah.
I think the NBA needs the Knicks to make a deal. But here's the other question real quick before we get to your comments. Thank you so much to everybody that's here. You guys do a wild job supporting the show. Thank you so much. One other thing that I think is really interesting. When you talk about need, and you talk about who needs to be good. I'm curious what the NBA, how healthy is the NBA right now? Because you have situations where there's a lot of negativity, and you have situations where you have a lot of politics. You have, Black Lives Matter. You have Brittany Griner. You have China. You have like all this stuff. And you're looking at all of these TV numbers and TV contracts, and the news cycle has not stopped around the NBA.
Yeah.
And I think I could make the argument that the NBA has never been more healthy or more popular than it is right now.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And it's so funny. Like today is the first day that all players for NFL teams are showing up at camp, right? And that's not a big deal this year because the NBA has been dominating the headlines.
Yes.
And I think that's what makes the NBA or has put the NBA in a healthier spot. And I think that, the Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving saga through the thing that we're not allowed to talk about on YouTube, that's affected the entire globe. Like, I think that whole situation, for better or for worse, has kind of powered what the league has gone through the last several years. I mean, I go all the way back to when, the bubble existed, right there. That was one of the most fascinating things we've ever seen. So coming out of that situation to now, Kevin and Kyrie teaming up in Brooklyn, having that flame out, like this whole saga, I think that's what's allowed the NBA to stay in rhythm and to stay relevant and to stay in front of the public eye. And there's going to be eventually, one way or the other, there's going to be a week that happens where a bunch of stuff goes down. I don't know when that's going to be, frankly. I have no idea. But eventually, before camp starts for NBA teams, there's going to be a week here where we get like 10, 12 trades that just blow up the whole league. And that's the beautiful part about it. We're sitting here, and the national media is sitting here talking about all this stuff in the league, and nothing's going on right now.
No.
That's what the NBA wants.
Yep, I agree. Let's get your comments. Good morning. Greg Hawkins says, at a taping right now, but have a few moments. What's up, y'all?
What's up, Greg?
Sup, Hawk?
Sup, dude?
Greg Hawkins in the Philippines got our T-shirt. An actual movie star.
Let's go,
listens
Greg.
to this show.
Yeah.
And wears our casuals T-shirt. You're a stud. You are absolutely a stud. Jess Harsh gives us a $2 super sticker this morning. $2 tip. Thank you. Appreciate that. Eric and Raleigh, first one in this morning, says, good morning, Monties. What's up? Teddy Wayman, how are you? Joe Oliver says, good morning, Monty. I'm new to basketball. Got into it after the Raptors won it because Bigger here in Canada ended up cheering for the Jazz after they beat the Grizzlies. You have the best coverage. Appreciate that. Joe, really appreciate that. Jesse Harsh says, morning, boys. If the Jazz trade Don, they would have acquired double-digit first-rounders this offseason. In your opinion, what's the potential of this Jazz team with all the draft capital? I mean, I think you're in a position to rebuild much quicker.
Right.
But if you don't trade Donovan, I don't know that you're completely rebuilding. Because Donovan Mitchell, in my opinion, and again, it's my opinion, Donovan Mitchell's that guy that can be an alpha male. I think Don's a guy that can carry a team. I don't know if the right pieces exist in either Salt Lake City or New York right now for them to win championships. In fact, I know they don't. But Donovan Mitchell can be a big part of that. So I think the upside's tremendous. Eric and Raleigh says, Jesse, with Danny Ainge running the team, the potential is great. Totally agree with that. I think
the potential is the sky's the limit, if I'm being honest. Like, if you trade Donovan Mitchell and you have all this draft capital, that doesn't mean you're just going to go ham in the draft. I think what that looks like because of, Danny Ainge, as Eric was just saying there, I think what that looks like is twofold. I mean, yeah, you may make moves in the draft, but I think he's going to leverage all that to rebuild a team that Will Hardy and this coaching staff can really apply in the way they want to apply them. That was the biggest problem with the Quinn Snyder era. It was always, hey, Quinn's got a system, but we don't have the players to run that system. That was always the problem.
Yes.
And I think that's what they're trying to change. And so, again, I know this is repetitive, but they're not going to trade him unless someone comes with 6 picks and 3 players. That has always been the consistent messaging that we've got through our information channels.
Because I don't think they're trying to trade Donovan Mitchell necessarily. I don't think it's hey, we got to unload this guy. I think the Knicks had a bounty of picks, and Danny Ainge was doing what every good GM should do. I again will say, as a source at the Utah Jazz explained it to me, it'd be irresponsible not to have the conversation.
Yeah.
It'd be irresponsible not to make that trade. If you're getting 6 first-round picks and 3 young players, it'd be irresponsible not to make that trade.
Yeah.
It absolutely would. And I agree with that. So I don't see a situation where Don's a problem. I just think when you're going to get that kind of haul, why wouldn't you? Neville 93, good morning, my friend. Good to see you. Let's see. Alex Chacon, good to see you, friend. He says, if we keep Don, how do you guys think we'll build around him? I think you got to find a dominant power forward. I think that's what Donovan Mitchell needs. My opinion is you need a guy, and you have somebody currently in Bojan Bogdanovic. I think you need a better Bojan Bogdanovic. I think you need a guy who can shoot the three and get to the basket, who's also a pretty good perimeter defender. Those guys don't grow on trees. I would assume it's a guy like a Bradley Beal. You're going to need Jared Vanderbilt to turn into a stud. You're going to need to take the pieces you have and develop them, which is why David Fizdale is here. You're going to need to draft well with some of these pieces. The 2023 NBA draft is going to be, I think, the first round and halfway through the second round deep. So you have a lot of assets there. I think you have to go and find a really good running mate for Donovan Mitchell. I don't think they have that. So what do you turn Bojan Bogdanovic into? What do you turn Jordan Clarkson into as far as a development piece? Because I also think that's a huge part of this equation. I don't think Jordan Clarkson's at his level best yet. I don't think he's hit his ceiling.
Yeah.
I think he's hit his ceiling based on what people have asked him to do. But my opinion is Jordan Clarkson has more to give.
Yes.
And I think you have to do everything that you can do to get the best out of him.
And that's potentially, like what I'm most excited about this upcoming season, whether Don is here or not, or whatever happens with the roster, whatever happens. I'm really just excited about the concept of a new head coach with a new system that's going to be moving quickly. That's going to be high tempo, high energy. Like you're for so long, the last whatever it has been, 9 seasons, it's been a slower, methodical sort of offense. And I think that the league has moved on from that. The league is much more quick, fast-paced, transition, get up and down type league. And I think that's where I think Donovan Mitchell specifically thrives. I think he does really well in transition play. So it'll be interesting to see what they do.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Thanks, Dennis Levi, Levie. Dennis Levi for the $3.99 tip. Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Alex Chacon, I read that one already, excuse me. Davey Hamadani says, I'm a New York Knicks fan and would love to have Mitchell on my team, but for that price, no matter how good he is, I am still willing to walk away. You should
Agreed.
be. You should be. And I think this is one of the things that I think if you're a Knicks fan that you should be really encouraged about is that you have a guy in Leon Rose who is a veteran operator in NBA circles. I mean, this is not a rookie. Obviously, he's never been an executive before, but very clearly, Leon Rose knows how to negotiate. And he knows the value of a player. And I think what you're seeing in Leon Rose and the Knicks is that they're not willing to give up every draft pick they have, plus 3 young players, plus a veteran, to get Donovan Mitchell and pick swaps. Like, that doesn't seem like that's advantageous for the Knicks. In fact, I think most NBA people I've talked to have said that would be a loss for the Knicks. So I think Leon Rose is absolutely, working in the way that he should. And I think the interesting thing here is neither one of these teams needs to make that trade. Not saying have to. I think if you're the Knicks, I think you really want to make that trade. I think if you're the Jazz and you can get 6 first-round picks, you really want to make that trade. But I think probably in both situations, the Jazz and the Knicks, your best move is not to make a move.
Right.
If we're being totally honest and truth-telling on a Donovan Mitchell trade, their best move is likely not to make a move at all. And you look at what's going on with the Lakers and Russell Westbrook, that was a horrible decision that they're having trouble unwinding. I look at Brooklyn. I look at their KD, Kyrie, Joe Harris situation, their Ben Simmons situation. The Ben Simmons trade. Let's truth-tell about the Ben Simmons trade. That has been an abject failure for the Brooklyn Nets, and it is likely why you have Kevin Durant asking for a trade, because they were not able to achieve in the playoffs last year, and all of the drama and, frankly, the difficulty of being a Brooklyn Net in the last 12 months, a lot of that centered around what? Another bad decision to go and get James Harden, who did not work out at all who you flipped, and now you've turned him into Ben Simmons. Well, I got news for you. The other problem with the James Harden deal is he's lost a ton of weight, and he looks like a dude that's ready to be a savage again.
What do you bench?
And if he's that guy, Philly got the best of James Harden, and they got the best of that deal, because it doesn't matter what Ben Simmons does this coming season. If James Harden is no longer a fetish and he's motivated and he's playing at the top of his game, the Philadelphia 76ers won that trade.
Yes, they did.
So when I look at the Knicks and I look at the Utah Jazz, the best trade here is probably not a trade for either one. That is unfortunate, because I do think the Knicks need to move on from this and the Jazz need to move on from this. Mm-hmm. And I think if you're a guy like Leon Rose, I would hope you don't take this lack of a deal personally, because the Knicks and the Jazz should be two organizations that do business together. They have parts, they have pieces that would work well in the other's position. It's simply a matter of finding common ground.
Yep.
And I don't think they've been able to do that. One other thing, by the way, on this Sacramento thing, I got a ton of hits from Sacramento yesterday on Twitter and in the comments section here on YouTube asking about, hey, what is really going on with Sacramento and Donovan Mitchell? And I don't think anything's going on with Sacramento and Donovan Mitchell. I don't. I don't think they have the pieces. I don't think that the Jazz are interested in Harrison Barnes at this point.
No.
And I don't think that they're going to trade Donovan Mitchell to the Sacramento Kings.
Bro, if the asking price is 6 picks and 3 players, the Kings are not in the conversation. The Raptors aren't in the conversation. Like, I think this whole thing that Shams tweeted out, and I mean no shade at this at all, but like I think that it was a lot of just like, hey, yeah, teams have been calling. Like more of the, hey, yeah, teams have called the Jazz. There have been conversations. Great. Neat. Like that's what we do in the NBA. We call people, we talk about players that we may potentially be interested in to see what the asking price would be based on what we have to offer, But that doesn't mean that the Utah Jazz and Danny Ainge are out actively trying to trade Donovan Mitchell. And I just have real trouble with that concept of like, yeah, they're willing to ship him out to anybody. I don't think that that's true. I think that Danny Ainge has a very clear path, a very clear plan, very clear strategy around how he would want to handle Donovan Mitchell's, trade. And I don't think that involves a bottom feeder in the Sacramento Kings. I can kind of see the Knicks thing because the Knicks are an up-and-coming team right now with a lot of talent and a lot of opportunity. The Kings are not that, with all due respect.
It feels like a fit. That feels like a fit. Sacramento, I think, and we reported this on the show, Washington that Shams also mentioned. Washington was in the Jazz were talking 2 different times. Last trade deadline about a Rudy Gobert deal. We told you on the show that, hey, they were working on a deal of some sort. This offseason, the Jazz had conversations with the Washington Wizards about Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, who KCP wound up in Denver. That deal died. Like, I think Shams is talking about conversations that started and stopped in like a 15-minute window several weeks ago. Mm. I don't think there was ever a situation where the Kings and the Jazz were seriously engaged in conversations around Donovan Mitchell. Yeah. I have been told that did not happen, that it never advanced, that the Knicks have really been the only team that has really come to the table and said, what's it going to take to get this done?
But why is that? Because they have all the assets to potentially do a deal. They have enough assets to at least have a sincere and legitimate conversation about it. Yeah. That's the difference.
Yeah, and I think these are very difficult conversations. I agree with Jordan Clarkson destroys ankles, who says, I think the Sacramento Donovan trade rumor is a non-starter for Utah. I just
agreed.
If you'd asked me 6 months ago, I'd say the Jazz were definitely interested in Harrison Barnes. There is no doubt about that. And had they known that Halliburton was available, okay, now we can have a conversation. Not for Donovan Mitchell. I mean, like it. I think a lot of this, and I think destroys ankles. That's your name. I mean, it is what it is, bro. I think you're exactly right on that. So I would agree with you. NY Jazz fan says, rising tides raise all ships. Utah Jazz need to rise the tide in their organization, culture, quality of life benefits. 100% necessary for all successful organizations.
Yeah.
You also don't have a TV deal. And this is one of the things that's so amazing to me.
Yeah.
Have we all forgotten that this team is not on TV and not on your cell phone?
No.
Have we all forgotten that? I can watch the Drew. I can watch Summer League. I can watch NBA TV right here on my phone. I can't watch Jazz basketball on my phone.
It's incredible.
I can't. Yeah, it is incredible. And the thing that's amazing to me, as we sit here today, Ryan Smith is a tech billionaire who has not said word one about TV or streaming.
Yeah.
And I don't understand this. Like, I don't understand how you, as a Utah Jazz owner, don't look when your edict has been, and understand this. What has Ryan Smith said? We're the best of the best, nothing short. We're gonna build a championship organization. That's only on the radio, or that's only on AT&T Sportsnet. Like, where is MSG? Where is Inside the Lakers? Where is the Chicago Bulls, who have their own TV streaming thing? Where are any of these deals for the Utah Jazz? How are Jazz fans consuming content right now? Is there a camera following Danny Ainge around? Well, fuck, there better be. There better be. Can you imagine inside the Utah Jazz where you have a camera? Just put a GoPro in the corner of Danny Ainge's office.
Yeah.
And shoot the guy talking on the phone.
Yeah.
Show me behind the scenes, right? We talked about this, and Ryan Smith, again, we've asked for him to come on the show. They've said no repeatedly. I'd love to ask Ryan Smith about streaming, TV, multimedia stuff.
Yeah.
I would love to do that because nobody asks him about that. And it's amazing to me that here we are. We're in the last week of July, bro.
Yeah.
Are you really telling me before training camp you're announcing a new TV deal?
Like, this summer's not young anymore. I hope people realize that. Like, we're headed into August here, man. Like, it's time to get moving.
It's amazing. It's amazing. It really is. Steve Hambone, good morning, Steve. How is our new coach doing? Have we got all of our assistant coaches in place? A good bit of them. I think Jason Terry was a wonderful hire.
Yeah.
I think I think the staff is coming together quite well. I really do. Stephen Fox says Donovan Mitchell usage rate will impact RJ Barrett's development. Oh, there's no doubt about that.
Mm-hmm.
And this is why I said yesterday when we were talking about how Donovan fits into the Knicks, Jalen Brunson, RJ Barrett, Julius Randle, Mitchell Robinson, and Donovan Mitchell.
It's a good starting five, dude. Like, that's a talented starting five.
But how many of those guys thrive in that starting five? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know either.
I think the guy that doesn't thrive, or not doesn't thrive, but the guy that would be most concerned in that situation would be RJ, because I could see a setup where Jalen Brunson's bringing the ball up. He's playing your traditional point guard role on the starting five. Donovan's playing your two guard, scoring guard role. RJ's at the three. And I think Julius and Mitchell Robinson are gonna be setting a lot of screens and have a lot of movement. Like, that's
Julius
how I use
Randle needs the basketball to be his best, to be any part of his best. And here's my point on that starting five: none of them will thrive. None of them. Mitchell Robinson isn't a volume player, but you look at Julius, RJ Barrett. I think RJ Barrett is the best point here from Stephen Fox. I mean, listen. RJ Barrett needs the ball to grow, but so does Donovan Mitchell, and so does Jalen Brunson, and Julius Randle, and
But if you make the Donovan deal, it's time to stop talking about growing and talking about getting into the playoffs. That's what it shifts, man.
But see, that's the problem. I don't think that's where the Knicks are. I don't think that's where the Knicks are. I think the Knicks are a developing organization.
Doesn't the Donovan deal instantly change that? Like, I agree, yes, they are a developing organization, but if you make a deal of that magnitude to get Donovan, you're not in development mode anymore. You have to go and push to get to, like, let's say the Eastern Conference Finals as an example.
Here's another reason not to make that trade.
Yeah.
I
think that's the best point you've made.
You're not that guy.
Yeah.
You're not that guy, pal. Like, you're not. The New York Knicks are not an Eastern Conference contender.
No, I guess not.
Well, and listen, they're not nearly the best team in New York. I mean, the Brooklyn Nets are better today. Does KD stay there? Kyrie, Ben Simmons? I don't know. Today, the Brooklyn Nets are a better team than the New York Knicks. By far. Not close.
Yeah.
And when you look at the Knicks are an organization right now today that have a bunch of dudes that are getting paid, and you've got RJ Barrett who's going to get paid, and none of them are platinum. None of them. None of them are NBA superstars. Like Donovan Mitchell is coming off one of the most turbulent seasons of his career.
Yeah.
This coming season is make or break for Donovan Mitchell's legacy, in my opinion. His superstardom will be determined this season. If he comes out of the gate, as I believe that he will, and he averages 30 points a game, and he's a clear-cut, no doubt about it, all-star, Donovan Mitchell is going to go on and I think win multiple championships. If he comes out of the gate and he's a 24-point-a-night guy and he's just an afterthought and sometimes he scores 50 and sometimes he scores 13, Donovan Mitchell's never going to be a star in this league.
If you ain't first, you're last.
Here we are. Don's going to be a great player on some nights. My feeling is Donovan Mitchell's coming for that ass.
Yeah.
Donovan Mitchell is going to score 30 points a night, and I think Donovan Mitchell is going to be a clear-cut all-star, and he's going to take a step forward this season.
And I think he's going to do most of that through the mid-range. I think you'll see a lot of three, but I think a lot of that development is the mid-range.
And
game.
I don't think it'll be in a Knicks uniform.
Yeah.
I really don't. And I could be wrong about that. And Knicks fans, I know that we've had a lot on the show.
I mean, if you're a Knicks fan, how bad do you want Donovan Mitchell? Like, are you in a place where you're saying, hey, like, yeah, we need to make this deal. Like we got to have him? Or are you more in a place where you're like, if the asking price is that high, we're good. We'll just kind of go on with what we have. Like, if I know we have Knicks fans here, like, where are you at on that?
Yeah. Let's get some more of your comments in here. K. Nuren says, Danny is not making any trades that hurt the Jazz. Well, I mean, it depends on how you define hurt.
Agreed.
I mean, if you trade Donovan Mitchell, I don't care what you're getting, you're hurting the Jazz because you're not going to win as many games without him as you do with him.
Mm-hmm.
So, but does that mean that, well, you can put a Band-Aid over that wound because you got a bunch of draft picks and you're developing? Okay, I could have that argument. But I think it's awfully difficult to say that you didn't hurt the Jazz if you trade Donovan Mitchell. Yeah. I think right now, today, you're a better team trajectory-wise than you were at any point during this last season. Moving Rudy's money off your books and getting all those draft picks and talent, absolutely. I mean, now it broke the trade market, but who cares? You're in a better position to succeed for the next 5 years than you were before. You trade Donovan Mitchell, you're going to probably be 3 years away from being relevant.
I'll try to stay calm and not curse.
It's the truth. Does that hurt the Jazz? I don't know. We'll see. New NY Jazz fan says, I have to watch Jazz via League Pass. Then the Knicks, Nets, Celtics games all get blacked out as well as the NBA TV is an extra subscription. It's ridiculous. I also have YouTube TV linked to Utah zip code. Still doesn't work for Utah Jazz games.
It's brutal, bro.
I can tell you right now, I am a League Pass subscriber. I watch the Jazz on League Pass.
Yeah.
I live in Daybreak. I don't have to watch the local broadcast because there is no local broadcast. It all comes out of what, Colorado, I guess? Like, I don't have to watch that. So I watch the opposing team. No matter what you think of the Jazz and their broadcasters or whatnot, I watch the opposing team. Black Lives Matter says RJ is better served as a role player anyway.
Agreed.
And I think we've had this debate, and I know that Knicks fans don't agree with me on this, but I don't think RJ Barrett's a killer. I don't. I think that RJ Barrett is. I would agree with that as a role player. I think you're exactly right. He says role plus type guy. Yeah, I don't disagree with that. Hi.
Hello.
Good to see you. Welcome to the Monty Show. Jeremy Bolton.
Jeremy,
this is why. What are you talking about? I can watch the Jazz if I buy a Super X Premium Double Star Triple Max X3 Jazz package on DirecTV. Is that like, can you check the spelling on that? Is that right on the DirecTV website? Maybe
dude,
through their app?
Like, and this is, and we're going to get, it's so funny we're talking about TV and streaming with the Utah Jazz because we're about to have another conversation related to football with this. And I think that TV and streaming, no matter who you are, is about living on people's cell phones, man. Like, I don't know how long it's going to take for 99% of sports organizations to get this, man. If you're not easily accessible on someone's cell phone, you're not going to make money. You're not going to thrive. You're not going to be a thing. But if you are, you're going to thrive. And that's why I say, anybody who's having success is doing streaming and custom, behind the scenes, can't get it anywhere else stuff as far as, content creation is concerned. And that's why it is surprising to me that we haven't had a new streaming deal for the Jazz. That is really surprising.
Yeah, I would certainly agree with that, and I think it's one of those things where,
I have to think it happens at some point. I mean,
right, but that's what I'm struggling to spit out. Like, I don't think it happens at some point.
you really don't think that they don't do something?
I am really surprised that it is July 26th and we don't have a Jazz TV deal.
Yeah, I kind of thought that would have been a priority for them.
I'm really surprised.
Yeah.
Wow. How about this?
Uh-oh. What do we got? What do we got?
There is some belief that now the Toronto Raptors have emerged as a serious contender for Donovan Mitchell.
Uh-oh.
I don't know how much I buy into that. NBA, this is, and I want to be careful with this. A buddy of mine is texting me, and essentially saying the Raptors are seriously trying to acquire Donovan Mitchell. Trade conversations around Rudy Gobert were very fruitful. A relationship was built, and now the Jazz and the Raptors are talking about Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah, so I think the price changes with the Raptors. If, and again, not to discredit, your guy, but who the hell knows what's actually happening? I mean, again, I'll be very blunt about it. I mean, we had last week, on local radio, we had someone say, hey, I have people telling me this deal's done, and now the deal hasn't been done. And so that, for me, I'm just sitting here saying, hey, look, yeah, they did. If you, on our YouTube channel, if you go back to December or January-ish, we were telling you, yeah, the Raptors were very involved in Rudy Gobert conversations. And there were a lot of, conversations around, Gary Trent Jr. and a couple other guys on that roster. And so if I'm Danny Ainge, I mean, I have to have Scotty Barnes. There's no doubt about that. If I'm doing a deal around Donovan Mitchell with the Raptors, got to have Scotty Barnes. And I think then there's conversations. But my thing is, how much does the price change for the Raptors? Because you're not asking them for 6 first-round picks, certainly, because I don't think they have that. I'm pretty sure they don't have that, in fact. So it'll be interesting to see. I think that's more of a head-up deal. Hey, I'm getting, we got to make the money work, obviously, but I want, 2-3 players that are key contributors now if I'm giving you Donovan Mitchell.
Well, I also think, and again, if you're just tuning in, we're hearing the Raptors have expressed serious interest in Donovan Mitchell. They formed a relationship over Rudy Gobert talks, and Barnes is a hard no.
Mm-hmm. I'm sure he is.
And just asking, how serious that is, and are they just talking? But I think, one of the things we've talked about so regularly here on the show is that, the Jazz and the Raptors have had a lot of conversations about trades. And I think we just go back to what we talked about at the trade deadline last year, where people mocked us and said we were dumb and you're just those YouTube hacks. Mm-hmm. The Raptors and the Jazz were seriously engaged at the deadline on Rudy Gobert trade talks.
Yeah.
And I think that's when the Bulls emerged. They weren't willing to throw in Pat Williams. And by the time the Bulls were willing to throw in Pat Williams, things had gone too far down the road with Minnesota. And then it turns out that Atlanta, Chicago, and Toronto all lost out on that. But what we talked about at that time is that you build relationships through these processes. And, it's funny, I just said that a minute ago about the Knicks, but you have to think that the Knicks and the Jazz on some level have a relationship built here. Now, for better or for worse, for good or bad. But now when you hear about the Toronto Raptors being interested in Donovan Mitchell, I think that is, part and parcel to that process that happened at the trade deadline, where they no doubt had serious conversations about Rudy Gobert, and now you have a relationship that was built. And Masai Ujiri, the general manager of the Toronto Raptors, is a fabulous executive. And I think a guy like Danny Ainge and Ujiri are guys that will get along famously.
Yeah.
And so you have two pros that know how to build winning organizations, and I think it only makes sense that they have a relationship through those conversations. I don't think there's any doubt that if you look at Van Vliet, if you look at Pascal Siakam, and you look at Donovan Mitchell, I think in some form or fashion, that's a pretty good threesome that you could put on the floor in Toronto and do quite well. Scotty Barnes is a hard no in Toronto. I think we talked about this through the Rudy Gobert conversations, Jake, that Toronto's not going to give up Scotty Barnes.
Yeah, and I think the difference with Toronto versus the Knicks, let's say, is that Toronto has guys that they can offer in a trade deal that allow you to speed up your timeline as far as winning is concerned, as far as the Utah Jazz are concerned. And I think that's the fascinating part of it. Like, a Knicks deal is draft capital, younger guys you got to develop. A Raptors deal is guys who have been playing in the league, guys who can come in and be contributors right away.
Yes.
Like, that speeds up your timeline, in my opinion. So, to kind of paint this picture, let's say you did do a Raptors deal and you sent Donovan and you got Gary Trent Jr. and a couple other guys from that roster to come in. Okay, well, now I can go and trade Conley, Bogey, and a lot of people think they're going to trade Beasley as well. And now I can really start to round out a starting five. And then I can get to work on my depth. So, yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of credence to a Raptors deal. What value they can get back and what Danny wants, that's a different conversation.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. Brett Robbins says Devry Bucket O'House Davis.
Yeah.
Exactly right.
Yes.
Yeah, good point. Don't forget, we're giving away a trip for two to see BYU in Las Vegas, taking on Notre Dame as part of the Shamrock Series. We're giving you a trip for two with 2 tickets to the game, 2 nights in a hotel in Las Vegas, and a $250 gas card to get you there. And all you have to do is subscribe to this here channel. Would really help if you give us a thumbs up. It helps the channel grow. But please do subscribe, and it is all brought to you by our good friend Devry Davis at Academy Mortgage. 801-543-9666. 801-543-9666. Devry Davis, NMLS number 278545. Academy Mortgage and Devry Davis are equal housing lenders. And I know we talk a lot of hoop on this show, but you got to talk about your life as well. And if you're looking to buy a house, or if you're wondering, if you are sitting here watching this show today and you're asking yourself, can I afford to buy a house? Nah, I can't afford the down payment alone. Will kill me. Please, I'm begging you. Call 801-543-9666. Talk to our guy, Devry Davis at Academy Mortgage. You can afford to get that house you've wanted. You can afford to get that house that you deserve because you've worked hard to build a life for you and your family. If you want to buy a house, Devry Davis is going to put you in the best position to do that. And I talk about it every day on this show, but when you walk into a house and you want to make a contract offer, you got to be a cash buyer. No matter how much money you have in the bank, Devry Davis at Academy Mortgage will make you a cash buyer. He's going to qualify you and give you a letter that says we can execute on this house right now. That's what you need to win and compete in this real estate market, and nobody does it better than Devry Davis at Academy Mortgage. 801-543-9666. Devry Davis, Academy Mortgage, presents our BYU Drive Away to see BYU and Notre Dame at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas. The Shamrock Series, it's going to be fantastic. It's October 8th. The trip is October 7th and 8th. You get 2 nights in a hotel, 2 tickets to the game, and a $250 gas card to get you there. And it's all presented by Devry Davis at Academy Mortgage. So if you're just tuning in, we're talking Donovan Mitchell. And this comment by Shaq that, hey, he's good, not great, he needs to get better. And these conversations around what Donovan Mitchell's real worth is. And, it's interesting is we're having conversations around whether or not, other teams are interested. We're hearing this morning that the Raptors are very interested in having conversations around Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah.
Nothing is close. Scotty Barnes is off limits in those conversations. But what happens here is I think you see momentum building. The Knicks clearly, as we reported last week, I think it's been proven right. The Knicks are very frustrated with Danny Ainge and the conversation and negotiations that are happening around Donovan Mitchell.
I would be.
And I think if you are the New York Knicks, this is the very last thing you want to hear. If you are serious about acquiring Donovan Mitchell, you don't want to hear that the Toronto Raptors are very interested in acquiring Donovan Mitchell. I don't think you want to hear that. The good news is the Toronto Raptors don't have 6 picks and 3 young pieces of talent to give you to make that deal happen. My point is, I think the question is, are the New York Knicks willing to give up what it's going to take to get Donovan to beat Toronto to getting Donovan Mitchell? And is Toronto only being mentioned because they're trying to move the Knicks off a deal? We'll find out. I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Let's run through some of your comments because I see a lot of people here this morning. Thanks so much for being here every day that you guys support this show. It really makes a difference for us. And again, please give us a thumbs up. It helps the show grow. Pudge in NYC says, LOL, yeah, right. Spida is CAA. Leon is his agent, basically. then why hasn't a deal happened?
Yeah, if the CAA conspiracy stuff is true, why didn't he get the guy he wanted for head coach? Why hasn't a deal happened? Why like that's why I say yes, he is represented by CAA. That doesn't mean that there's some back channel conspiracy theory happening. That's that. I just am not going to subscribe to that idea.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. Yo, soy, Mr. Coach.
Hello.
Is that on your birth certificate? It says, as a Knicks fan, I would say bye-bye 45. If we have to compete with Toronto, those two GMs could duke it out. I totally agree with that. But Leon Rose is no rookie general manager. I mean, this is a guy that is a veteran operator in NBA circles. Mm-hmm. So, that's why I don't discount what Pudge is saying. Leon Rose knows how to operate. But if Leon Rose has the balls that everybody says he has, he's put a price on it, and he's not going to exceed that price. Donovan Mitchell is at his best right now, not worth 6 first-round picks. To me, that's the conversation here.
Pack everything up. We're out of here.
The Jazz, according to sources close to the Utah Jazz, have asked for 6 first-round picks.
Yeah.
And if that's your asking price, if I'm Leon Rose, I'm saying no.
No.
Forget the talent. Forget, the Evan Fournier, Cam Reddish conversation.
Yeah.
I'm not interested in giving up 6 of my 8 first-round picks to get Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that. That's a hard no. So I just think that it's one of those things that you cannot do.
Yeah.
In my opinion. Gabe Ledley, what's up, my guy? He says, need a Monty Show meetup watch party in Las Vegas for people not going to the game. Absolutely. We should talk about that. No doubt we should talk about that. Brandon West, do you guys think Malik Beasley could elevate to another level, or has he pretty much demonstrated what his ceiling is? I think everybody's got another gear. It's really internal. You have to decide who you want to be as a player. And everybody should have the gear that Don's got, because Donovan Mitchell's an incredible hard worker. Is Malik Beasley that same guy? I don't know. We're about to find out.
I think Malik Beasley has a lot of proving to do. I think he's a motivated player right now. I'll say that. I think that his exit from Minnesota was needed. I think that he didn't represent himself the best there. He had some off-the-court stuff that kind of, brought him down a bit. Not to say he's a horrible person or anything, but I just think that he needed a change of scenery. And so, yeah, when you ask, hey, can he get to another level or can he elevate? Yeah, I think he can absolutely elevate. And I think that anytime you get to a new culture, a new system, you get to play in a new arena for home games, that helps. That helps a lot. So, yeah, I do think that there's more upside for him.
Yeah, I think they're going to trade Malik Beasley. Yeah. I mean, if you had to hold my feet to the fire right now, I would be telling you I think a Malik Beasley trade happens. I think a Pat Bev trade happens. And I think a lot of it will be determined by what happens with Donovan Mitchell. Because I also think I would not be in any rush to trade Donovan Mitchell. I think if a Kevin Durant trade happens, you have a hell of a lot more value in Donovan Mitchell than you do before a Kevin Durant trade happens. So I'd be in no hurry to trade him. Honest to goodness. I just think you should wait. Asgil says, Bojan isn't a salary dump. He's an asset, not a great one. But you can get a first rounder for him, I think. Man, I mean, all of perception is very much reality in this league.
Look no further than the Rudy Gobert deal.
Yeah, what is Bojan Bogdanovic's perceived value around the league? I don't know. Is it a first round pick? I mean, if you're the Miami Heat, is he the cherry on top? If you are, if you're who's the best team in the East? If you're Philly,
Boston.
If you're Boston, no, I don't think he's a cherry
Milwaukee?
on top. I don't think so. I really don't. I don't think he's a cherry on top. I truly don't.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion.
Yeah, I think that Bojan is somebody who is an addition to a championship team. That's what I think he is. I think that Bojan was asked to do way too much here for the Utah Jazz. We were at not this past season, but the season before, I think it was, when he dropped 50 at the Viv against the Nuggets that one game. We were at that game, and Bojan has good enough athleticism in certain situations to beat guys, but he's not somebody that you want to just feed the ball to all the time. I would
agree with that, yeah.
In the corner, I'd want him basically playing like a PJ Tucker style of offense where you're just standing in the corner. And then defensively, that's the problem. You got to get him in certain matchups so he doesn't die on the defensive end.
Davi Hamadani, I hope I got that right, said the Jazz had arguably the best power forward and point guard combo in NBA history. You think if their careers would be now, you think the Jazz would have had to trade Stockton in the mailman? No, because I think those guys are generationally good talents. I mean, those are Jordan, those are Kobe, John Stockton, in my opinion, is arguably the best point guard to ever play in the NBA.
Yeah.
Chris Paul probably has a place in that argument, but I think you're talking about a guy in John Stockton that is an all-timer. You're talking about a guy in Karl Malone that's a legend. I don't think you trade that kind of player. I mean, anybody can be traded. Shaq got traded.
Yeah.
Who are we kidding?
Yeah.
That's the greatest center in the history of the NBA, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So I think you're looking at a guy in Stockton and Malone, either one of those guys that, yeah, absolutely, you could be traded. Tom Bacillus says, don't waste such a trip on a BYU fan. Come on now. Can't we all just get along? Can't we all just get along? Ryan Braithwaite says, what kind of deal would be offered from the Raptors? That's interesting. I think Siakam and Gary Trent Jr. have to be in that deal. But does that really fit into a rebuild, retool? I mean, if you trade Donovan Mitchell, you're rebuilding.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I don't remember quite succinctly what Toronto is paying Siakam, but it's not a little bit.
Yeah, and that's my trouble with the Raptors situation. I could kind of see a thing where you say, all right, we're keeping Donovan Mitchell, but we're sending out a bunch of guys to go ahead and get 2 more key contributors. Okay, I could get down with that thought process, but trading Don to get, Siakam and Gary Trent and a couple other guys,
Siakam's making $35.5 million.
Yeah, that's heavy, bro. And I think that Siakam had one good year that got him that money, to be honest with you. And I don't think that he's been prolific since then. And again, you want to talk about guys that have proven to do? I still think he has proven to do. I think that's where he's at.
Yeah, I don't think they probably have it. I honestly don't. I don't think you're trading Donovan Mitchell to Toronto. I mean, if I look at what's really available on their cap, I'm not a buyer. I am not. OG Anunoby and Gary Trent Jr. Without Scotty Barnes doesn't make me excited to make a Donovan deal with the Raptors. I mean, Malachi Flynn, Birch.
It's just okay. You see what I mean? Like, it's not like it's over the top. Like, yes.
No, not
they've
at all.
got this guy who we could build around, let's say, or who, there's not a difference maker. And that's why I say a deal with the Raptors. The reason the Rudy deal with the Raptors was such a nice fit is because at that time, Rudy had a lot of value in the league, and you could keep Donovan Mitchell, add, OG Anunoby and Gary Trent Jr., and now you're off and running with a playoff team. That's why that fits so well.
Yeah, and they don't have enough draft picks either. I just don't see why you would do that deal if you're the
and that's what I'm saying.
Jazz.
Like, if you're Danny Ainge and you're looking at this, what are you asking for? Because it's not going to be 6 first-rounders.
But you know what this says to me? Again, I think the Jazz are involved in a 3-way deal. I think, and I've been talking about this for weeks off the show.
Yeah.
And I think you would back me up on this.
Yeah.
You and I have had this conversation. I think the Jazz best trade this offseason is being the 3rd team in a 3-team deal.
Well, and we said before Rudy got dealt, we were kind of talking about on the show that potentially was going to be a 3-teamer because of Rudy's money. But again, see, this is what I mean. Danny Ainge has so many connections in the league, that putting together 3-team deals, getting executives involved, like whatever it takes to get it done, he will find a way. It's just a matter of what's coming back. Based on his behavior and what's been reported and all the information that we get, the consistent theme has been essentially that Danny Ainge has his prices. Danny Ainge has what he wants and the way the deal is going to go down. And if it doesn't go down that way, he's not going to be involved. That's the kind of operator that Danny Ainge is. So when I look at potential 3-team situations or like other possibilities of moving Donovan Mitchell, I like the sound of a 3-team deal. I like the sound of being a part of a 4-team deal as far as KD is concerned. I think there are benefits there. I think there's a lot of opportunity. We're literally sitting here on the show this morning having a conversation about a Toronto Raptors team that doesn't have enough assets to get the job done on their own. So what does that mean? Let's get other teams involved. Let's get Utah what they need to move Donovan Mitchell, and let's see about benefiting these other teams.
Yeah, and again, I think the most likely scenario for because I do see a second significant trade coming. I mean, the Jazz are just too active to do nothing here.
Yeah.
I think I think August 1st. I think next week becomes a very important date. I mean, when you go to training camp in late September, I think the trade market has to loosen up in August. I mean, at some point you run out of time here, right? So I think you're in a situation where if you're the Toronto Raptors, I think you see that your opportunities are very limited right now. And if you're the Utah Jazz, I think you see your opportunities are vast right now. Yeah. But you're not willing to give up Donovan Mitchell for anything light. I mean, that's why you hear all these rumors about the Utah Jazz and Russell Westbrook. The Jazz have no desire to have Russell Westbrook on their roster, as it's explained to me, but that does not mean that the Jazz would not trade for him and buy him out. I think that there are teams in this league, including the Washington Wizards, who would like to have Russell Westbrook on their roster. And if Bojan Bogdanovic has to wind up back with the LA Lakers, who I know would like to have Bogdanovic, I think they would like to have Mike Conley. If those two guys wind up going out and the Jazz are a conduit to get Russell Westbrook to Washington, I could absolutely see that happening. I mean, the next time I hear that the Jazz would have interest in Kyle Kuzma will not be the first time. Yeah. So I know that the Jazz and the Wizards have had conversations in the past. I know that the Jazz and the Raptors, I know that the Jazz and the Hawks, I know that the Jazz and the Mavericks,
the Bulls,
certainly the Bulls and the Jazz have had many conversations. I mean, the Jazz have trades out there. It's simply a matter of which ones they like and which ones they're willing to execute on. And so when you hear these new rumors about the Toronto Raptors wanting to be involved in a Donovan Mitchell deal, that's not surprising. But here's the one problem that you come away with. If you trade Donovan Mitchell in a 3-team trade, can you get what you need in return? And I would tell you that's going to be very difficult.
Yeah,
because
I guess I'll have to figure something out.
I don't see you getting 6 first-round picks for Donovan Mitchell in a 3-team deal. I don't see you, getting 6 first-round picks in a scenario where you're buying out a player at the value of a Russell Westbrook. I just don't see that making a lot of NBA sense. So I think it's very difficult to make trades in the NBA, especially when you're asking prices as high as it is. So when you say, what kind of deal could be offered by the Raptors? I don't know that the Raptors have a deal on their own. I really don't. Eric and Raleigh says Devery does the damn thing. Yes, he does.
Yes, he does.
Whether you live in Utah or you live somewhere else, he certainly can help you in any way, shape, or form. No matter where you live, Devery Davis can help you or put you in touch with somebody in your market that is a really good mortgage professional. Call Devery Davis today, 801-543-9666. NMLS number 278545. Devery Davis and Academy Mortgage are equal housing lenders. If you're just tuning into the show, yes, we have a lot of news going on in the NBA.
Things are happening.
Things are spinning.
Yeah.
Ken Williams says, why would you want to lose a draft pick? It is not a guarantee. What do you mean lose a draft pick? Help me understand that. 00 Jordan Clarkson destroys ankles. We need to start shopping out Conley and maybe Bogey and just get that done.
Yeah, that's already happening, man. That's been happening, yeah. That's happening.
I think this is absolutely one of those trades that will happen once the Kevin Durant-Kyrie situation is understood.
I think what's happening right now is obviously, it goes without saying that they're working on a Don deal, but I think on the peripheral, like on the fringe, they have deals in place, I would guess, for guys like Conley or Bogey. Like, they have had conversations, deals in place where it's like, hey, like, all right, when the time comes, if we call you and this is the deal, would you do that deal? Well, yeah, I would do that deal. Like, I think they have had some of those conversations because it just makes sense. Think about it. The whole league is waiting for Kevin Durant. The whole league is waiting for Donovan Mitchell. So while you're sitting here spinning, waiting, if you're Danny Ainge, what are you going to do? Well, I'm going to get my ducks in a row on everything else. I know I want to move Mike Conley. I know I want to move Bojan Bogdanovic. I know I want to move Malik Beasley. Let's get all those in a row. That way, when dominoes start falling, we can move quickly and get ahead of this thing. To me, that's the level with which Danny Ainge works at, and that's why you got to love him.
Yeah, I think that you have to find a way to make deals to make this roster better. That's what I'm saying. Askell says, can't trade Bojan until we trade Don. If we don't trade Don, we need to field a team still. Well, but I mean, you're gonna do that.
Yeah.
Bojan Bogdanovic, especially with Jared Vanderbilt here, Bojan Bogdanovic becomes expendable.
But at the same time, I kind of get where you're coming from. Like, you'd like to still be, because again, speaking of things that Ryan Smith talks about, the goal has been to win championships and win now. Like, that's been their stated goal. So so that's why I say, like, we had, I think 2 weeks ago, we did the retool versus rebuild thing. And obviously, if you trade Don, yeah, it's a rebuild. But I don't think it's a 5-year thing. I think it's a 2-year thing, honestly. And that's why I understand where you're coming from with that comment.
Yep, a couple more. Ryan Scandura says, because getting a top 5 pick has a higher success rate than being in NBA purgatory winning 30 games. Well,
that's
ain't no doubt about that. He also says, do you think the Jazz want to do the Don deal before KD gets traded? No, I think if they had their ways, Kevin Durant would get traded, and then they would drive up Don's value.
Or what happens if it comes out that KD, Kyrie, and Ben are going to play together this year? Because I still think that's a possibility. Like, I still think that's on the table.
Yeah. Casey Finlandson, good morning to you, friend. He says, or guys, or the Jazz keep Don on the books and build around him.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely a possibility. Brett Robbins, the only team I want to trade Don to is the Magic. Give me Bamba, Isaac, Suggs, Wagner, and 4 picks. Jeez, what a haul.
I can't disagree.
Shout to Mobamba.
I mean, yeah. Antonio Ruiz says 3-way deal with the Lakers and Knicks. I mean, I've heard that exact scenario. I mean, the question is, who's willing to buy out Russell Westbrook?
Yeah.
And what do the LA Lakers get in return? Because obviously, I don't think it's rocket science. You don't need sources to tell you that Jazz would like to add to their roster, or that the Lakers would like to dump Russell Westbrook.
Yeah.
The Knicks are going to add talent. I mean, none of these 3 teams that we're talking about are finished products by far. So my question is, what value do the Lakers have? I don't think much. The Lakers need help.
Yes.
They can't do it on their own.
They're leveraged.
They're strapped. So that's why a lot of people have wondered, well, hey, are they going to trade in Anthony Davis? That's why I think they're so willing to give up a Talen Horton-Tucker, because I think they understand that they need help.
Yes.
And frankly, they don't have the goods to make a deal happen.
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing they have is future draft picks that are significantly down the road.
Anthony Street Clothes Davis.
Yeah, I think it makes things difficult. Ken Williams, I think the Jazz don't want to trade Don. That's why the asking price is so high. I just don't think tanking is good. Tickets are expensive. Are Jazz fans willing to pay that much night after night? Not for a crappy team, you're not.
I agree completely.
You know, like I think, again, I will just go back to what we have reported for months. The Jazz are not openly shopping Donovan Mitchell.
Yeah.
If you are going to come to the Jazz and you have 6 future picks, 3 pieces of talent, and a vet, you can have Donovan Mitchell. Oh, you only want to offer me 4? Well, then there's nothing to talk about.
Yeah.
Because Donovan Mitchell, frankly, as a player now, has more value to you than those 4 picks.
That's every day.
I mean, it really is that simple. What's the tipping point here? At what point, do you say, okay, that's what I need to trade Don? Is it 4 picks and 3 players? Is Donovan Mitchell, and I again, I'm a Donovan Mitchell guy.
Yeah.
Donovan Mitchell isn't worth 4 picks, 3 players, and a vet.
It's just not worth it.
That's well, fuck, man. That's 7 assets.
Yeah.
Are you telling me that Donovan Mitchell is worth 6 first-round picks? No, I'm telling you he's not.
Yeah, and I don't know that there is a guy that is, even Kevin Durant. I mean,
no, you're worth what somebody's willing to pay for you.
Yeah.
Whether it's your house or a basketball player, you're worth what somebody's willing to pay.
Yeah.
Donovan Mitchell is not worth 4 first-round picks. And
that's not what we're about.
And 3 players.
Yeah.
And 7 total assets and pick swaps. The answer is no. He's not. I don't care if you're the Knicks, the Lakers, your mom. Zach Wilson's mom's best friend.
Right.
He ain't worth 7 assets.
No.
Is he worth 10? Hell no, he's not. But how thirsty are the Knicks?
Yes.
Well, that's the question you got to ask yourself. Because I'm telling you, he just isn't. Again, I see people saying, "Why aren't you reading my comments?" Well, we're trying. Man, we have over 400 comments today. So I appreciate that. It doesn't make sense for the Jazz to trade Mitchell. Guys like him.
Is that guy?
Guys like him are rare. They are.
They are very rare.
I agree. Jordan Clarkson destroys people. Says, I disagree about a top 5 pick being a winning strategy. Any pick is a gamble. That's just not the way the NBA works. Like, in this coming draft, if you're in the top 15, you're in the lottery. I mean, there's so much talent in 2023.
And I think you can. Teams are getting really good at projecting players as well. I mean, I disagree that it's a gamble. I think when you're in the second and the third round, you're gambling.
Yeah. JC destroys people's lives. Says Vanderbilt makes Bogey expendable here. He does.
Agreed.
K. Nurin says, I would take 7-8 picks only. Wow. Well, congratulations, Donovan Mitchell's a Utah Jazz man for life.
Yeah.
Kenai Johnson, what's up, KJ? We got lucky with the Gobert trade. Don't want to go for that much. That throwing your whole franchise at him. You can't. You can't. Top Junkie, good morning to you. Is a tomato worth $7? No, but that's what the market dictates. Donovan Mitchell will be worth 6 picks and 2 players. Well, I'll finish that for you. If the Knicks are willing to pay that.
That's pretty much self-explanatory.
Right? Arel on Israel says most Knicks fans want Leon to walk. Is that right? Knicks fans.
And that's my question, man.
I know we have a lot of Knicks fans that have been watching the show lately. Like, shout at us. Tell us.
What's
hey,
the
where
deal?
Are you on?
Like, do you guys want Donovan Mitchell? Like, do you really want him? Or are you willing to walk away from that steep price? Because I agree. It's a really steep price, and I think there's a strong case that it's not worth it.
Yeah, I agree. I totally agree. Jeremy Bolton says, is Ben Chilwell available for a Donnie trade? Man, I hope so. Donovan Mitchell's a better football player than Ben Chilwell. Good to see you. Okay. Daniel Westover says, Frank Ntilikina was a gamble. Well,
agreed.
Frank Ntilikina was a gamble. Lou Memorabilia says Lakers get Cam Reddish, Fournier, Randall. Jazz get 4 Knicks picks, 2 Lakers picks, THTIQ Grimes. Knicks get Spider and Bogdanovich. This works on Fanspo Trade Machine.
And that's what I mean. Like, I don't think we should, and I appreciate you putting that in there. I don't think that we should get into, like, hypothetical, 18-team deals, right? Like, I think what we should be saying just simply is that the more teams you have involved, the more options you have. And that's why I think potentially that's why this could be taking some time.
Yeah. Let's see. Talking with Raphael podcast. I want to see Conley and Boyan trade value. Yeah, I think a lot of people do. Raphael, I think you're exactly right. Ryan Scandura says, if Leon doesn't get Mitchell, I want Leon gone. Well, there's that. TJ McVeigh says, I love Conley, but the Jazz need to move on and get something for him. Davi Hamandani says, my stance on the trade, I'm willing to walk, as you should. Davi, I think you're exactly right.
Yeah, dude.
Is it Davi or Davey? My bad. Asgill says, if they give us their own unprotected, then we are talking about value, for sure. Pat Stock says, Knicks fan here, at Ainge's price, we want Leon to walk. Want to negotiate? Sure, let's talk. Anybody else want to negotiate?
Yeah, and I think that's how you have to be, man. That's how you have to be, bro.
Name that tune. Anybody else want to negotiate?
Come on, guys, come through.
Come on.
What
movie is that from?
Clean, methodical, and thorough.
Exactly right. Thank you, bud. That's exactly right. B says, not true Knick fans want Don, but most want him just for the picks. Adding players is too much.
Yeah.
Could be. Top Junkie says, new to the channel, but I'm loving this show. Keep up the great work, guys. Appreciate it. Make sure you give us a thumbs up. Really appreciate you being here. Jeremy Bolton says, what is it going to take to get Caruso? He's the foundation to tanking. Well, it's funny you bring up tanking.
Empty.
The opposite of full. I don't see the Utah Jazz tanking. I really don't. They're not tanking. Well, they're trying to get a VW.
That's just not. That's not the culture, man.
Everybody wants to ride to the game in a Vanagon. It's a VW. They're not.
Come on, guy.
They're not tanking.
They're not doing that.
They're not trying to get the number 1 pick. My wife is glaring at me. VW is the nickname of the number 1 over. It's basketball. It's fine. Anyway, my point is, I don't think the Utah Jazz are tanking. I really don't. Jeremy, do not slander my boy Alex Caruso.
Dangerous misinformation.
He is somewhere walking around with a bunch of weed on him and getting ready to play defense. Ethan Waugh says, are you still doing Jeep stuff? Yes, we are. But
update the Jeep, bro.
It'd be nice to get a track bar for the front end and so that we could have it installed.
All I'm going to say is be here for the show Friday. Just be here for the show Friday,
Yeah, be here for
bro.
the show Friday, 8 Mountain Time.
Man.
Huge announcement on the show. Huge announcement.
Be here.
Pat Stock says, Leon is more than willing to do a fair trade, but Ainge is known to be ridiculous. Yes, he is.
I agree.
Brett Robbins, just say what teams want. Jazz want 3 young and 6 picks. They might go down, but the Jazz don't have to trade. If no one wants to do that deal, that's right.
And that's what I think it has to be. And that's what I've been saying like for the last week. Like, the price. If you're the Knicks, don't beat your head against a wall when you don't want to meet that price. And it's not a slander against the Knicks. I think I don't know that I would be comfortable with that asking price. If I'm the Knicks, it's 4 picks and the players mentioned. That's what I'm good with. I'm not giving you 6 picks and the players mentioned. That's not happening.
Not a chance in the entire universe.
Yeah.
Am I paying that price?
Yeah.
All right, a couple more because then we got to get to the Pac-12, Big 12. Ryan Scandura says Lonzo and Murray. Okay. New York Jazz fan says all other GMs want to do when Danny calls is talk about a potential DM trade. But what was he really calling about is moving Conley Boyan. Mm-hmm. It's like calling a girl to speak with her friend, not with her. Well, I mean, who doesn't, want to tap your sister? Like it is what it is.
We don't know anybody who's been doing that recently, do we?
No.
No, Zach doesn't want to be friends with his mom, but his mom's friends, they're all Jets fans. They want
You guys are idiots.
Fly with him. Kenai Johnson says, with the draft capital and the money we saved from Gobert, Danny can build a championship team within 3 years. I agree.
Agreed.
I totally
completely agree.
I agree. Wow. You guys are amazing with the comments today. Ken Williams says, great job, guys. I watch every day. Appreciate you, Ken.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here. Tony Twist says, I'm okay walking, but I wouldn't blame Leon Rose. Yeah, no doubt. Brett Robbins says, Pac-8 news, baby. Wow. Giggity, good morning to you, buddy. Says, will the Jazz continue trade talks throughout the season, or will they calm it down at a certain date? Well, I think if you don't trade him by training camp, you're not trading him.
And I don't think that if you talk about trading Donovan Mitchell the whole year, that puts Will Hardy in a real good position to be successful.
No,
I don't think that the organization is in a position to absorb, trade talks constantly. I just don't think that that's a realistic reality.
No, I would agree with that. By the way, what was Mikal Bridges? Giggity's in Phoenix, by the way. What was Mikal Bridges doing in the club the other night?
No, so Mikal Bridges, he was in a bar with a bunch of Suns fans, and they were having a great Mikal Bridges. There's a video on Twitter of Mikal Bridges on a table, like sort of dancing with Suns fans.
It was amazing. And he was buying
Phoenix.
All of their liquor.
Yeah, dude, like he was
awesome.
pumping that. And it wasn't like a nightclub. It was like a more of a bar scene.
It felt like a bar. It didn't feel like,
Now, I will
Club
say
Trinity with DJ Blow Me.
I will
that's
say
not what it was.
Buddy's probably going to need to get tested after all the people that were in that bar, but he was having a good time.
Hey.
I know.
Relax, it's monkeypox.
I know.
That's pretty much self-explanatory.
I know. Yeah, I know.
Talking with Raphael podcast says, what do you think Dwayne Wade's input is on this trade, TV deal, and other parts of the Jazz organization? I don't know. There's been a lot of questions about that, too. I think Dwayne Wade, he's a minority owner. I mean, he's a guy that has a very small stake in the team. Mm-hmm. But I think they lean on him more in free agency and advising them, consulting them.
He's definitely in the circle.
I think he is, but I don't think he has a day-to-day impact on Danny Ainge. And I think Danny Ainge has free reign to do whatever he wants with the team.
Well, yeah, I would agree with that.
So
yeah.
I just don't. If the Jazz bench Mitchell, will he trade request? Why would the Jazz bench Mitchell?
Yeah, why would
We're not doing that. Why would you do that? I don't think this is a John Wall thing. Giggity says, LOL, not a club. He was at the Vine in Oh, it was the Vine. Oh, okay.
Oh,
yeah, the Vine's great. The Vine is great. Question for everyone posting. You are Leon Rose. What's the most you're willing to give up? Keep it simple. Four picks.
Yeah, 4 picks, 2 young guys.
I would give up Grimes and 4 picks. That's the trade I'm making. That's it. And obviously you're going to put in Evan Fournier to make the money work. But the core of that trade is 4 first-round picks, no pick swaps, 4 first-round picks, and Grimes. That's what I'm willing.
I'm willing to give up Toppin too.
I mean, I have been trying. I have been trying to get my opinion right on Obi Toppin.
Mm-hmm.
The more you watch the last month of his season,
he was crazy.
Well, and damn you, Tony Jones at The Athletic. Tony was on the radio the other day talking about how Toppin had I think he said last month, 6 weeks, whatever.
Yeah.
And he sent me into this black hole of Obi Toppin research.
I saw it.
But he's not wrong. Obi Toppin was really good.
Yes.
Was really, really good. And the thing that I thought really stood out to me was he can consistently make the 3 at the NBA level.
Yeah.
And he's not just some freak of nature. But is he ever a number 1 power forward or a number 1 center?
Yeah, I think he's got that within his game. I think he can be that.
I think that's the biggest question.
He needs development. He needs minutes. He needs development, but I think he could be that guy, yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Ryan Scanduras says he'd be willing to give up 6 picks, Grime, Fournier, and McBride. Hell no. I'm not doing that.
Nah.
I am not.
It's too much, dude.
I am not doing
It's too
that.
much.
Top Junkie says 5 picks, Grimes, and McBride. Man. Guy, that's 7 assets.
It feels like McBride is expendable for most Knicks fans, and I kind of get that. But
Man.
6 picks, that's heavy, bro. That's heavy.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it's heavy.
Let's see. Diaga 97, Fournier, Reddish, and 5 picks. Well, that ain't getting you Donovan Mitchell. That's not getting you Donovan Mitchell.
No, it's not.
I think 4 picks and Grimes with a veteran to make the money work. That's how you get that deal done. That's how it gets done. Jeremy Bolton says, welcome to Knicks Talk, presented by Monty in the morning. Well, there you go.
You're casual.
There you go. Which is to say, let's switch and talk about the latest in Pac-12 contract negotiations with ESPN. Here's a question for you. How much would it take to get Obi Toppin from the Knicks? No, I'm kidding. How much would it take if you're a Pac-12 school? What would it take per year from your TV deal to get you to stay in the Pac-12? Because this is a big, important question. Stuart Mandel and others have published alleged numbers to show what ESPN is negotiating against itself to pay the Pac-12 to air their games. And the baseline number per school per year is $30 million per school per year. Now, that seems like a lot of money, only it's not very much money at all. When you consider that the Big Ten is getting $100 million per school.
Dude.
There's no way, if you are a Pac-12 institution right now, that you can stay in the Pac-12, Pac-10, for $30 million a year. And there is talk that the Pac-10 wants to drive that number up closer to $40 million. To which I say $40 million ain't even half enough money if I am Utah, Oregon, Washington, Stanford. If I am any of the remaining schools outside of Oregon State, $40 million a year would probably be unbelievable. But if I'm Arizona State, if I'm Arizona basketball, $40 million a year isn't even a starting point for per year value from your TV contract. The question for me is, can ESPN save the Pac-12? And the only way that ESPN is in position to save the Pac-12 is if ESPN Plus is involved in every game streams in the ESPN app. And that deal is much more in the $60 to $70 million per school per year range than the $30 to $40 million range.
Yeah.
Because at $60 to $70 million a year, Jake, I think you're saying to yourself, man, do I really want to pack up all of grandma's fine china and put it in boxes and move to Poughkeepsie? Do you really want to move conferences?
Obviously not.
Well, at $30 million a year, yeah. By the way, can I get some of those wardrobe boxes for my shirts? Like, yeah, at $40 million a year, bring the moving boxes, bring some tape, and let's pack this thing up because I'm out of here.
Yeah.
Right? Exactly right. At $30 to $40 million, I'm out.
This case is empty.
At $60 to $70 million, yeah, well, maybe, we can hang out here. I know that the windows need to be replaced and stuff, but we can hang out here. I'm willing to stay in the Pac-12 at $60 to $70 million. If you add San Diego State, now I'm really willing to be here for $60 to $70 million.
Right.
But I'm telling you, the only way that this deal at $60 to $70 million makes sense is if every Pac-12 game is streamed on ESPN+. That's the only way it makes sense. Because everybody else around the country has every game available for consumption on a phone.
Cold-blooded, clean,
That's
and thorough.
where we're going. And this deal that the Pac-10 is negotiating now, here's my biggest problem with it. It's not a couple of seasons. It's a decade.
Yeah.
You're looking at a 10-year TV rights deal. If you are not streaming those games, I don't see how on earth you can possibly think that that's enough.
Yeah, well, here's the problem. The teams that, like, there's a handful of teams that have the opportunity to, or probably will have the opportunity to get to, like, the Big 12 or another conference, which is obviously the Utahs, the Oregons, and the Washingtons of the world. Those three schools particularly have an opportunity. Obviously, the Arizona schools, but they're less valuable than those three. And I think the thing for me when I look at this whole situation is if you're a Utah, Oregon, or a Washington, you're not even humoring this deal.
No.
You're saying, hey, we need to get the hell out of here. Like, we're not going to be here for $30 million or $40 million a year. And even if it was $60 million a year, we're not thrilled with that, but that's a nice backup plan. But I think the problem is if you're a Cal, let's say, or a Stanford, let's say, you don't have a choice. Like you're so what are you going to do? Because you're not going to the Big 12. You're going to go to the Mountain West if the conference dissolves? Like, that's so to me, can ESPN save the Pac-10 at this point? Yeah, I think on some level, sure, it can help it exist, but I don't think the Pac-10 or the Pac-8 or whatever it turns into is a Power 5 conference anymore. I think it's just a conference that exists. It is the Mountain West. It is, whatever conference you want to point to. Like, the conferences that are going to be, college football playoff relevant are obviously the SEC, the Big 10, and the Big 12. Yeah. Those three. And if Clemson decides to be good on any given year, then sure, the ACC. That's but that's why I say ESPN is not going to save the conference as it's currently constituted. I think it's going to pay teams that are still there, that are potentially valuable assets to ESPN from a visibility standpoint.
I just don't know how you compete as a conference if you are at $30 million a year.
You're not.
Honest to goodness.
You're not.
I mean, you're just not at a place where $30 million a year buys you new seats at the Memorial Stadium at Cal.
What does that do for anybody?
It doesn't. You would have to have some massive endowment. You would have to have some massive fan base. Like, I don't know how you close that span. And this is why I say when we're talking about Big 12 versus Pac-12, and I think this is one of those things where we talk about, hey, who survives, the Big 12 or the Pac-12? And everybody wants to talk about, hey, the Big 12 doesn't have the TV viewership that the Pac-12 has. Totally agree with that. But it doesn't matter how many people watch. It matters how much money you're getting in your TV deal. And that's why I say, like, this thing where Notre Dame would remain independent, but they would do a TV deal with the Big 12 and Notre Dame at NBC that puts every Big 12 game on the Peacock and on the cock. Too much.
Who the hell names their platform Peacock?
Well, it's the history of NBC, you douche.
Who the hell does that, bro? Come on. Give it the time.
If you stream every game on the cock and you're able to put...
Yes, you did.
And you're able to put Big 12 football on NBC and TNT and every other, or excuse me, USA and every other NBC-owned channel and the Peacock app.
Yes.
That's a deal that makes sense. And, oh, by the way, you're teamed up with Notre Dame. And now Notre Dame and the Big 12 have a scheduling agreement. That's a win-win.
Yeah.
That's a TV deal.
Yes.
When you're at ESPN and you're getting $30 million a year and ESPN's getting a million viewers every single week for Pac-12 After Dark, you're in trouble.
But do you see what I mean? How that deal benefits ESPN? They're still getting the views. They don't care about. I mean, it's probably harsh to say they don't care about the Pac-10 or how many of our teams are in that deal. But my point is that deal doesn't really benefit Pac-12 schools, if you will.
At all.
Like, it brings them money, but not a lot of money. But it benefits ESPN a whole hell of a lot. Like, no matter what you think of the Pac-12 right now, 1 million views a game is pretty damn good. And that's why I'm saying for ESPN, it's just a simple business decision. It's not like, hey, we're on a mission to save the Pac-12 and we're emotional about it. No, they want their 1 million views a game. They want to make their money, and they want to do what ESPN does, which is bring money into the company. That's what they do. So that's why I say the Pac-10, Pac-12, Pac-8, whatever it is, ESPN's not saving anybody. ESPN is seeing an opportunity, and they're trying to capitalize on that opportunity. And I say, more power to you, man. But if you're Utah, Oregon, Washington, you got to get the hell out, and you got to get to the Big 12, in my opinion.
Yeah.
That's where you need to go.
Well, and I think when you look at this situation with ESPN Plus, and the ESPN app, That's a TV deal.
Yeah.
And I cannot stress this enough. And if you don't follow John Canzano on his website, he does a radio show across the Northwest as well. Like, if you don't follow John, I think he is the preeminent. I don't even know of another. John Wilner's very good at the Bay Area News Group as well. Those two guys, I don't know that there's another Pac-12 insider that is even in the ballpark. I mean, those two guys routinely have the news first.
They're elite.
And if their numbers are correct, that ESPN, because the situation, if you don't know it, the Pac-12 right now is in an exclusive negotiating window with ESPN and Fox on a 10-year TV deal that expires on August 4th. That negotiating window expires on August 4th. So they have until August 4th to negotiate exclusively with ESPN and Fox. And if you are ESPN, I don't see how it makes sense to negotiate against yourself. Mm-hmm. But what leverage does the Pac-12 have at this moment? You're losing Southern California, which by far is their largest TV market.
Yeah.
By far. So if you are the Big Ten, you're thrilled to be getting UCLA and USC and the Los Angeles TV market.
Yeah.
That's great. But if you're ESPN, how excited are you to go over $35, $40 million a year when you're not getting Los Angeles in that TV deal? And I don't think it makes a lot of sense for ESPN to bid against themselves when you're not getting Los Angeles. That's the real tricky part of this. Does Oregon and Washington make up for that? It doesn't, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean that the Pac-12 is not a viable TV partner.
Can you get 1 million views on San Diego State?
San Diego State, I think, is a really interesting part of this conversation, because I actually do think that San Diego State is in demand around college football. If you read the tea leaves, you hear a lot of people wanting to talk to San Diego State. And the other thing that I think we need to say here, if you are a Big 12 or Pac-12 school and you are not talking to other suitors, you're doing this the wrong way. Mm-hmm. If every school in the Pac-12 has not had a conversation with the Big 12, you're doing this the wrong way. Yeah. If you are a Big 12 school and you have not talked to the Pac-12 conference, you're doing this the wrong way. If you are the Pac-12 and you are not negotiating with ESPN and Fox and Peacock and every other streaming service in the world, you're doing this the wrong way.
Yeah.
But there's also an unspoken truth that needs to be said. The Pac-12 right now today is headed for a dumpster fire. They are headed for death. The Pac-12 is on a current trajectory to not exist anymore.
Final.
And like we said yesterday, YouTube TV doesn't fix that. ESPN, ESPN app, ESPN Plus, and ESPN Radio, and ESPNU, and ESPN2, and ESPN Your Mom fixes that.
Yep.
The ABC ESPN family of networks and assets fixes the Pac-12's problem. Here's the other unspoken truth in college football, especially on college television. Fox Sports ain't it, bro.
Yeah.
Fox Sports, I would venture a guess that most of you watching this show today don't know what the Fox Sports streaming app is called.
Y'all feel me?
I don't know what it's called.
Fox Sports Go. I don't know that most people know what that is. And what I'm telling you is Fox Sports on its own ain't it, bro. You're not that guy, pal. Fox Sports, you're just not.
Yeah.
ESPN is that guy.
Yeah.
You don't like ESPN? Okay, well then go and die a long, slow death in the Pac-10. Because if you do this deal exclusively with Fox, there's no deal to do.
Pack your shit. Let's go.
There's one deal to do. It's with ESPN and the ESPN family of networks. And if you want to survive, that's the deal you do. Because with all due respect, Fox Sports doesn't have the carriage and doesn't have the what's called in the business, the echo that ESPN has.
I'm going to say this again.
Because ESPN TV can promote ESPN2, can promote ESPN app, plus radio, website, ESPN.com. Like, it carries across.
I want you to listen to me.
They're the preeminent brand in sports.
Yep.
There's a reason they're called the worldwide leader in sports.
Because they are. And
that's the God's honest truth. As much as that hurts, that's the God's honest truth. Greg Hawkins, good morning to you. From the athletic standpoint, the Big 12 would be a lateral move for schools like Utah and Colorado. For schools like Oregon, it would be a step down. They would bolt no matter what. I totally disagree with that. I think where the Big 12 is now, they're in a much better position, history-wise, prestige-wise. Like, I look at basketball. The Pac-12 is no longer a basketball conference.
Yeah.
It's not. Because UCLA, even though they've had a better, decent run here, UCLA has struggled for a long time now. UCLA is finally on the rise basketball-wise. And the other thing is, and I don't want to go too far without mentioning this, UCLA is in a real bad spot with the state of California. Because Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, is not just going to let them walk away unscathed. UCLA didn't tell anybody. UCLA, which is the University of California at Los Angeles, the UC system, they forgot to tell somebody in, I don't know, California that they were walking away.
The ink isn't dry yet.
And now people want answers. So UCLA is all of a sudden become an awkward dance partner for the Big Ten.
Yeah.
So keep an eye on that. But my point is, UCLA is not a football program. Nobody gives a damn about Chip Kelly.
Yeah.
Outside of, the Pac-12, nobody cares about Chip
Anybody
Kelly.
know who else is on the UCLA football team besides DTR?
Honest to goodness, there is zero in football. Basketball, John Wooden is a living legend. And he will always be, in eternity, a living legend. That name is power in basketball.
Yeah.
Right? So Arizona, that's a basketball program. UCLA, that's a basketball program. You look at the conference, is Stanford still a basketball school? Not really. Who in the Pac-12
But wait, Stanford's
carries,
a football school, right?
Not really. I mean, Stanford is valuable, don't get me wrong. That's a tiny fan base.
Yeah.
It's a tiny fan base. I think people view Stanford as some huge university. It's a tiny fan base. My point is, you have a couple of basketball schools in the Pac-10. In the Big 12, that's a massive basketball conference. You're already a better basketball conference than the Pac-10 is coming in, right? You're already. And by the way, now you're not going to have UCLA as a basketball program in that conference.
Yep.
So now you take UCLA away, you're a one-man band. You're Arizona basketball. You're not attractive as a basketball conference. Sorry. Yeah. That's the reality of it. So when I look at the Big 12, that's a better basketball conference. When I look at the Big 12 as a football property, here's the thing that nobody in the Pac-12 wants to talk about. BYU changes the game in the Big 12 for football, for reach, for TV.
Facts.
Cincinnati changes the game for reach, for TV, for quality of football.
Yep.
Houston gives you just another piece of the Texas pie, right? But you know the other team that the Big 12 should be all in on? Fucking SMU. Go get Dallas, Texas.
Dallas.
Right? Go get SMU. If I'm the Pac-12, I'm all in on SMU. I want Dallas. Give me Dallas, baby. I need Dallas. If I am the Pac-12, I need SMU and San Diego State.
What would I do without you?
Secure me SoCal and give me a piece of Dallas.
Yeah.
That makes all the sense in the world for the Pac-12 because the Dallas TV market is not small and SMU is coming back.
Yeah.
But then again, if I'm the Pac-12, and this is Greg Hawkins in terms of your conversation here. What do you have if you're the Pac-10 to go to a Big 12 school? Ask yourself this question. If you're the Pac-10 right now, and that's what you are, you're 10 teams. If you're the Pac-10 right now, how do you go to Cincinnati? Change your mind. Come to us. Like everybody, talking about, well, we're going to go to BYU. How are you going to get BYU to come out of the Big 12 now that you thumb your nose at them for a decade?
Hey, guys.
How is that going to work? It's not. How are you going to go to Oklahoma State and say, hey, man, Stillwater's beautiful this time of year? Because the Pac-12 doesn't have any leg to stand on. Oklahoma State's not coming to the Pac-12.
Yeah.
They're not. It's not going to happen. Do you think Kansas basketball is coming to the Pac-12? That's not happening. The reality is, what's the likely outcome? If we're just truth-telling.
Yeah.
Oh, but we get more viewers in the Pac-12 and we're research institutions. Well, you're also about to die.
Yeah.
The reality is the Pac-12 is going away. The reality is that conference isn't going to exist in its current incarnation.
The reality is it's been downhill for the last decade.
Yeah.
That's the reality.
That's the reality of it.
Yeah.
The most ardent supporter of the Pac-12, tell me that the likely reality is that you don't lose a bunch. Because you're
Biggest
gonna.
kick in the balls you'll ever get.
You're gonna. The Big 12 doesn't have to do anything. But the problem is you have to fortify your flanks now because you are vulnerable.
Yeah.
That's the reality. The reality of the Pac-12 is you're probably dying. The reality of the Big 12 is you're vulnerable. You're vulnerable. Because if you were to lose Kansas, you're in real trouble. If you were to lose Oklahoma State, well, just pack that shit up now. Excuse my French.
Pack everything up. We're out of here.
Right? I mean, just pack it. You lose Oklahoma State in the booster base and the money. And
why don't we just bundle everybody into the SEC? How about that? How about we just make the USA conference and we'll play the whole country in one conference? Yeah. How about that?
You know. KL8N says, Clayton says, college football, yawn, say something basketball related. Well,
I got news for you, man.
You're pretty rare in that view.
College football is not yawn. Everybody loves college football. I'm just sorry, man.
Yeah.
They do.
Greg Hawkins says football brings in more than all other sports combined. I would agree.
Yeah, like it's not even close.
Greg says college basketball barely moves the needle when it comes to conference revenue, but the tournament on CBS moves the needle. And selling shirts and merch, basketball is not the starter, but it's the finisher.
Yeah.
Basketball will quite nicely cap off your budget. Kansas is only in business because they play basketball.
And they play better than you.
And yes, they have a football program, I think, but they play basketball. Like, you want to talk about irrelevant? How would you feel about being Iowa State today? How would you feel about being Kansas State today? Nobody's talking about you. Like, you're a small school that is kind of irrelevant at this point.
Yeah.
You know, like it is one of those things where you're not relevant. You don't have leverage, and it makes it very difficult for you to operate.
And that's what I'm saying. I think there's definitely two sets of schools. You have the haves and the have-nots, as the saying goes. You know, you have the schools that are relevant, that everybody knows, that are constantly in the cycle every single year, that have some leverage. And then you have the Iowa States of the world that nobody gives a damn about until the tournament comes around and you're a bracket buster. You know what I mean? Like, so if you're one of those schools, you're along for the ride until you have to make a decision.
My guess is Oregon and Washington end up in the Big Ten. My guess is that the rest of the conference, because if you lose Oregon and Washington, who are your real valuable commodities? Well, certainly Utah becomes a crown jewel of what's left of that conference, of the 8 teams left in that conference. I don't know what to make of Arizona State right now. I don't. But I think Arizona State are very valuable. I mean, Colorado, everybody keeps talking about Colorado. Colorado, it's got Big 12 history, but that's a Mountain West school if I've ever seen one, just athletically speaking. I mean, I don't, and maybe I'm being disrespectful. I don't mean to be, but is Colorado moving anybody's needle? They're not. So if you're the Pac-10 right now, there's a lot of decisions to be made that need to be made very quickly because $30 million a year ain't it.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line. And I agree with Greg. College basketball barely moves the needle, but hey, man, people care. A couple more, and then we got to get to the non-sports stories of the day. Going to better conference is nice, but also can destroy a program. Look at West Virginia moving to the Big 12. They were in a bowl every year and then went to crap. Yeah, that's a tough travel package, man.
Yeah.
Eric C. says, college football is cool. Barely got into it last year because of the Monty clan. Appreciate you, San Diego State.
San Diego.
Yeah, the whale's vagina is relevant. Jordan Clarkson destroys ankles says, Kay, are you saying a winning team program like the U and the guaranteed Holy War football rivalry isn't worth the Big 12? What are you smoking?
Yeah, I think, and that's what I'm saying. Like, if you're Utah, it's the Big 12 or bust. Like, I think you're going, you need that.
Kay Nurin said the Big 12 is going to take Oregon, Washington, Stanford, Cal, Colorado, and Arizona. Utah doesn't make the cut. Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, you're
Utah
just hating,
makes the
dude.
cut.
Yeah.
Utah makes the cut. There's no doubt. Ruff's official says BYU fans think the Big 12 makes them big time. They are not top 10 potential. They never will be. Well, I would encourage you, Ruff's official, I'd encourage you to probably watch football or college football or basketball sometime. That's what I would say. The Black Tea Show is usually right, guys. Thank you. Thank you.
Hey, man, we have a brand, okay?
The Big 12 taking Notre Dame, LOL. Well, I don't think the Big 12 is taking Notre Dame anywhere. I think Notre Dame is an absolute beast of a TV partner for the Big 12. There is no indication that Notre Dame is going to leave independence. None. But that also does not mean that they can't do an NBC TV deal with the Big 12. I mean, Notre Dame is not joining the Big 12. No. If they were going to join a conference, it'd be the Big Ten and only the Big Ten.
Mm-hmm.
So my point is, if you're the Big 12, partner up with Notre Dame and do an NBC deal. That's what I would do. If you're really gangster, go to ESPN, force a Pac-12 merger. Make ESPN leverage the Pac-12 into joining the Big 12.
Right.
Merge, make a super conference, and let's all go about our business. Because I don't think there's anybody who argues that if you had those conferences merge, the bottom half would be trash. There's no doubt about that. Top half of that conference is
for real.
You'd be making money.
Here's the deal. I'm the best there is.
To me, that's $75 to $100 million a year in TV.
Yeah.
I don't see how it's not.
Yeah.
And if I'm ESPN, I want that on my network.
So I'm saying it all just comes down to revenue. Ultimately, like no matter how you feel about the matchups, holy war, no holy war, like, you know, Pac-12, Big 12, like it doesn't really matter. What matters is, you know, profit and loss statements. Like, are these schools making money and being productive? That's what matters.
Greg Hawkins says, maybe if Utah joins the Big 12, we will finally have a basketball program again. Well, Utah's nature, the running Rebels or the running Utes got to get going again.
Yeah.
I mean, God, the Larry Kraskowiak era came to just a screeching halt.
Yeah.
You know, like it is just, man. Mason Gale went, how soon will we get an announcement on the next pin to drop in college football? Not soon enough. Not soon enough.
College football, the NBA, we're just waiting.
Real quick. I want to talk about this Kyler Murray contract thing.
Yeah.
Kyler Murray got the second largest average annual value in the NFL, and they're forcing him to have to study because Kyler Murray says he doesn't need to watch tape because he has a natural ability to see what's happening on the field.
Kyler.
Bro, you're 3 feet tall, first of all. Second of all, I don't know a quarterback, and again, not to tell you this every day, but I've worked in football a long time. I have never seen a quarterback not watch film and do well. Jamarcus Russell comes to mind. Like I know quarterbacks in the NFL who have flamed out. Like the infamous Josh Rosen story. Josh Rosen didn't bring his iPad home. Never used to bring it home until they figured out he was leaving it in his locker. And they had to force him to take his iPad home. Like, that's you not being ready to play football in the NFL. That's you. And Kyler Murray just got the second richest quarterback deal ever. And he doesn't want to watch tape because little guy sees what's happening on the field.
That's pretty much self-explanatory.
Good job, Steve Keim.
Really nice.
This contract is a disaster.
Y'all feel me?
If you've got to ask your guy to study, it's a disaster.
You paid this guy after he clearly was unprepared to play the Rams.
It's a disaster.
Come
But
on.
the new helmets in the NFL are not a disaster. Now, and we were going to talk about Lamar Jackson and some other stuff. We're not going to. Because what we are going to do is we're going to talk about these helmets real quick. And then Mrs. Monty's fine ass is going to come in here.
Right.
She looks really good today, by the way.
Okay.
I still think the new alternate helmets, the best one is the Bengals. Look at this. Look at the Bengals helmet right here. I mean, look at that. Like, are you kidding me with that helmet?
Yeah, that's a beautiful helmet.
Are
bro.
you kidding me?
That's a beautiful helmet.
Watch this hype video from the NFL real quick. Okay, what was your favorite helmet in that video?
Well, obviously the Bengals one is the most,
The
distinguishable.
Bengals one?
The Cardinals, though, I think have the best one.
What about the Atlanta Falcons helmet?
Yeah, the Falcons helmet's really good. I like it a lot. I just maintain the Cardinals have the best one.
There's two in there that really stand out to me. The Dallas Cowboys with the blue star, the white helmet with the blue star, always going to be clean.
Yeah.
But boy, howdy, I'm telling you, that Bengals,
It's hot.
the
There's
white
no
helmet,
doubt,
the black
man.
student,
There's no doubt.
Come
It's hot,
on.
man. It's hot.
I need to see 3 foot tall and doesn't study football in that helmet before I make a decision.
I'm for real.
I do.
3 feet tall and doesn't study football, yet he's a gazillionaire.
Am I wrong?
No.
Tell me I'm wrong.
$160 million guaranteed.
Tell me I'm wrong.
$230 in incentives.
That verticality,
yeah.
doesn't frickin' watch
My biggest
tape.
Listen, my biggest problem with Kyler Murray is he likes Kyler Murray too much, dude. Kyler Murray likes him some Kyler Murray, and that's where this not wanting to watch tape thing comes from. Like, you think that you're like above it. You think that you see things before they happen. Is that why you were unprepared for the rush against the Rams? Is that why you were unprepared to move your protection to handle Aaron Donald? Like, this guy is going to make the Cardinals look like an idiot, I feel like.
Greg Hawkins says the Cincinnati Zebras.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty much what that is.
Mason Gale says, unfortunately, these NFL teams are focused on pay mediocre quarterbacks since these quarterbacks don't grow on trees. And real quick about Lamar Jackson and Baltimore, Maryland.
I'm going to say this again.
I think the Baltimore Ravens should not pay Lamar Jackson.
Why?
Because, again, I just will simply say he's going to be the highest paid quarterback in the NFL, and he can't stand in the pocket and throw the football to win a Super Bowl. And at this level, say it with me because I say it, I feel like all the time. If your quarterback can't stand in the pocket, Kyler Murray, and deliver the football, you suck. Your team's dead in the water. So how am I going to pay Lamar Jackson all that money? How am I going to pay Kyler Murray the second largest contract in the history of the NFL, and he doesn't watch tape because...
How dumb do you think I am?
Well, you know, I'm the guy that I just see things happen on the field. Okay, next question. Like, that's who this guy is. That's who this guy is.
It's brutal.
So I'm just telling you, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
And that's who Mrs. Monty is. Wow.
Wow.
Perfect camera shot
Holy
today.
cow.
Perfect camera shot today.
Holy cow.
Hey. Good to see you. Oh, should probably turn up your microphone.
Yeah.
There we go.
Maybe he sees dead people too.
Whoa.
You know?
Okay, here we go.
I mean, maybe
Here we
he has
go.
extra talents, and that's how he knows what's going to happen. The play's already dead, and he sees it.
Okay.
I'm a man.
So, by the way, speaking of dead
That's a
people,
good one.
by the way, speaking of dead people, let's talk about Chipotle.
Right.
So I think we all recognize that Chipotle, I was reading an article this morning because Chipotle is going to accept crypto
Why?
to pay for guacamole.
Uh-huh.
Right. Well,
Now, as I was reading through this, I was reminded that Navarro syndrome or whatever the hell, Novavirus?
Norovirus.
Same thing.
Navarro syndrome.
Hey, man,
it's going to make you poop.
I watch Ozarks.
Water.
Okay? Yeah. I was reminded that, what is it? Novavirus or whatever?
Norovirus.
Same fucking thing.
You
Norovirus.
can get it on a cruise ship, or you can get it at Chipotle.
Yeah, and it was spelled out, this norovirus thing.
Yeah.
It causes explosive diarrhea.
Yes.
I said explosive diarrhea.
Yes.
Okay? Did you know that the federal government sued Chipotle and they got $25 million from them because they gave you explosive diarrhea? I can only lead the horse to the pooper.
Oh, sorry.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Okay, wait. You
Wait,
ready?
yeah, run it back. Sorry.
Did you know the federal government sued Chipotle and got $25 million from them because they gave people diarrhea? I mean, that's how much it costs to get diarrhea these days. Thank you. So now, Chipotle, which, by the way, let's discuss.
Yeah.
Okay.
Is Chipotle good?
Yes.
Yeah. And it is. But the bowls I made this week were better. So
Yeah, the bowel movement.
This
I would
is
agree.
a tasty burger.
So the only fast food that we usually eat is Chipotle.
Right.
Right? But
Right.
Mrs.
Right.
Monty this
Right.
week made rice in the pressure cooker. Or in the pressure cooker or whatever you call it, the quick pot, Instapot.
Instapot.
With black beans, pinto beans, and fajita vegetables that we got at Harmon's, chopped up, pan fried, everything's good.
Right.
And yeah, we added ground turkey to it. Me and Jake did because we're carnivorous, butt siphons. And
What do you bench?
I know, that's all that came to mind. So we added the meat to it. It was actually really good.
Really good.
It was actually really good.
Really good.
Yep.
Not better than Chipotle.
Well,
Because Chipotle, they have their queso sauce and whatnot. But is Chipotle good food? What do you like, Mrs. Monty, about Chipotle?
I like that I can go there and I know that I'm getting something that's at least remotely healthy. I don't get the queso. I don't get, mine is really, it's rice, it's beans, it's, lettuce, or they're like
all the no
kale
fun
mix,
stuff.
like veggies.
We get it.
Yeah. But it's healthy. I mean, it's better than, where else am I going to get something that's that healthy?
JCW's?
Butthole.
I mean,
I don't think
The
so.
Burger Boys,
well, I will say we went to the Habit the other day at the District and
Yeah,
had their
bomb.
Impossible Burger. That was really good.
It was good.
But we also had French fries, which is not good. But I think, listen, Chipotle's really good food. It's
Yeah.
healthy food. But I've always said, I worry about the quality of the food.
Mm-hmm.
I do. I think multiple people have gotten sick eating at Chipotle. They settled for $25 million. I mean, your butt's on like full blast when you eat at Chipotle. Well, mine's not. I mean, I am a log creating machine. But the point is that there are certain people who are on lock with their loose bowels when you eat there.
Right.
Would you ever pay for fast food in crypto?
No.
No,
Nope,
but I
I'm
don't
good.
have any crypto to use.
Yeah, I'm good.
We did that one time, and then, there was it didn't work.
But the problem, I don't understand this.
Yeah.
So you have Bitcoin that's at 24,000 right now. And it's, over the last month, it's vacillated, from 19 to 24.
Right.
But at what point when are we comfortable saying, hey, let's get back into crypto so we can buy guac from Chipotle, because that's their big promotion that they have come up. Like, hey, we want you to use crypto to buy guac and get diarrhea and stuff.
Right.
So why are you looking quizzically?
I don't know if that was their promotion.
I believe that's their.
It's okay.
Is that not in their marketing package? I think it is. Anyway, my point is it's not. My point is, are we at a point in society where we're willing to get back into crypto now? Because I'm not.
No.
I'm good. I'll pass.
It's
just not worth the risk, man.
I agree with. I don't think that there is any logic in getting back into crypto. And if you're in the comments this morning, first of all, thank you for being here. Please give us a thumbs up. But where is your appetite for crypto? Because I don't have any appetite at all for crypto.
I just don't know how you can feel good about it. I mean, there's so many other things that you could put your money into that are,
I just don't have. I don't know, man. I don't have an appetite at all. I'm not curious about it. I am holding on my stocks. I just got another dividend from GE last night. I'm holding on my stocks, man. I feel good. My Yelp stock is way up.
Yeah.
I feel good about my stocks. I just don't know when people get into crypto again. I can't see doing it.
I don't know. I don't see it as a good investment. I don't see it as a good investment for companies to start taking it as payment again.
Never. How'd that work out for Tesla?
I just find that wild. It's an investment. So can I get, a burrito for part of an Amazon stock? It's the same thing.
Yeah.
It's a stock that you're using. It's an investment you're using to purchase something. I don't know.
Greg Hawkins says, I've only had Chipotle one time, unfortunately. Oh, dude.
It's bomb, man.
If you ever decide to come back to the States, maybe we buy Greg Chipotle.
Yeah, we need to get you a bowl, bro.
When you're ready to die, because the things it
chances
does
are
to your inner, okay. Hey man, I'm not hating on it, Greg. We gotta at some point. New York Jazz fan says the bowls we made this week using the grill smoker for onions, peppers, chicken were unbelievable. Wife made her homemade pico de gallo. Even the kids tore them up. Yeah, the bowl you made, Mrs. Monty, this week was
bomb.
I didn't think about smoking the pepper, the fajita veggie mix. That would be really good. Probably the beans as well. So.
I totally agree. NY Jazz fan also says, I eat at Chipotle regularly. I think it's good food, fast, healthy. If you want it to be, and I travel a lot for work, better than fast food for every meal. Eating when traveling can be rough. Oh, man, that's such a good point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I totally agree with that. Kay Nurin says, Bitcoin is just laughable. Just a big scam.
It is.
I kind of agree with that. Do you think Bitcoin, you're a blockchain expert, Mrs. Legitimately, you're a blockchain expert. Do you feel like Bitcoin's a scam?
I feel like it was. Yeah, it's not a scam. I'm
not trying to be cryptic.
It was a really good effort to make a currency or a way to trade that you could hide, you could protect. People got crazy about it. It really served the black market to start, and then of course rich people want to get richer, so then they start getting into it. I just don't think it's a wise investment for the average person, and it's too risky.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think it's a wise investment.
We
for
lost
the average
$500. We lost $500 like in a minute.
Yeah.
And the last time I did that was in Baccarat. But
Yeah, but you were willing to lose it then. I don't know. I just think crypto's a scam.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah.
I don't. And if you're educated and you're into it, hey man, go get it. Go get it. Like I just think
I don't think people are like awful humans for trying to get into it and win with it.
No.
I mean, how are you going to blame someone for trying to win with
No.
something? But I just think it's not worth the risk for your average American.
Yeah.
It's just not.
it's way too difficult.
Yeah.
All you have to do is lose that key, and then you're done.
Yeah.
There's no way to ever get it back. Millions of
Cincinnati.
dollars have been lost.
Oh, billions. It's
That-
billions of
yeah.
dollars to lost crypto keys. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's no doubt about that. JC Destroys Ankles says, I've had Chipotle because my work brought it for lunch. Long bathroom breaks followed thereafter. Wow. Jeremy Bolton says, I broke down and tried Cafe Rio again last night. Why do I do this to myself? Soggy tortillas and diarrhea. Oh, bro.
I'm telling you,
Wait.
Cafe Rio is extremely guilty of the soggy tortilla, bro.
But I love Cafe
I do
Rio.
love Cafe Rio.
3
Yeah.
tacos, chicken, lettuce,
Shredded chicken,
pico.
though. Shredded
shredded
chicken, not
chicken,
grilled. Shredded.
pico, and lettuce with a side of black beans and pinto beans and a little bit of rice. You won't be full. You won't be hungry for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
Sorry if you have a leaky exit. Kanai Johnson says Bitcoin was made to go against the value of the dollar. I don't disagree with that. The Nye Guy says Italian Village will give you enough diarrhea to make you look like a crypt keeper. What's Italian Village?
No.
What's Italian Village? And let's make sure we never go there.
I don't know.
Is that real? Look, man, I'm just telling you. Jersey Mike's, Cafe Rio,
Chipotle.
JCW's, not Chipotle. Five Guys. Like, there's some places we should just stick and stay. JC Destroys Ankle says Costa Vida greater than Cafe Rio.
Well, hot take, but I think there's an argument to be made.
No, get out of it. Dude, Cafe Rio is the best.
No, it's
I
not.
love Cafe Rio.
It's not the best.
Oh,
It's not the best.
it's
but
better than Chipotle. It's better than, like,
It's
I haven't,
different than Chipotle.
but better.
No.
You know what I have a problem
But
with
better.
is any place that is going to make a burrito that can't actually make a burrito. And
Yes.
Cafe Rio 100% does not
Guilty.
make burritos.
Guilty.
That's just it.
Well, they put them in the pan and
They're guilty,
but
bro.
It's not really like all it is like a giant enchilada. They
Yeah.
just roll it up and leave it there week. And then they
Cafe
cover it with
Rio's
sauce.
presentation is sloppy. That's what they're thinking.
Jeremy Bolton says better chance of getting leaky gut, Cafe Rio or a coli burger at Jack in the Box. Why bring up Jack in the Box? Why?
I want my tacos.
Why, Jeremy Bolton?
Damn it.
Bolton, I'm telling you, and I know you're Mr. Six-pack abs doing a cargo net obstacle.
Congratulations,
Look,
but that's bullshit.
I know you're you're that guy. Oh, Ragnar, bitches. Like, I get it.
Are people Myron?
But I'm dragging you to a Jack in the Box when it opens. And if I have to like zip tie your legs to a chair at Jack in the Box and force you to eat a mini taco box, I'm doing that.
And as you can see, there's not much hope for you left.
I feel like this turned criminal. Anyway, I was kidding. That wasn't a threat. I was
Okay.
Anyway, Ken Williams says best Mexican food is in my kitchen.
Yeah.
Hell
Agreed.
yeah.
Okay, Arturo.
Or red iguana.
Yes. Arturo Gravino says, "Did I miss Knicks rumors?" Yeah, go back to the beginning of the show.
We've been live for like 2 hours, man. Come on.
Drew's Network says I only get steak or brisket when I go to Chipotle. Oh, steak is so good.
Yes, it is.
But I don't eat much steak at all. Darren Croppo says Italian Village, the pride of Murray.
Italian food?
Yeah, how do we not know Italian
Where's
Village?
the Italian?
I love Italian Village. The Big Magamba says Jersey Mike's meat is too sweaty. Listen, Number 7.
What?
Bro.
You just said Jersey
Sorry
Mike's
if you're offended by
meat
that.
is
It's too sweaty. I didn't mean a guy named Mike from Jersey. I meant the sandwich shop.
But like,
Settle. What do you get at
what-
Jersey Mike's?
What?
What do you get at Jersey Mike's?
I get the vegetable sandwich.
14.
The number 14. But I'm still like, I'm disturbed by you saying it's sweaty. Sweaty where? It's in a cooler.
What do you mean sweaty
Yeah,
meat?
that's kind of weird, bro.
Are you getting
Sweaty
meat
meat is
sweats?
troubling.
Are you getting meat sweats? That's too much meat. You got to cut back on that meat then. Oh.
Wow. Every day. Anyway, the point is number 7, extra turkey with, I don't get it Mike's way. I just get the vinegar.
Yeah.
Lettuce, tomato, extra onion, pickles. Got to have the pickles. Jersey Mike's or Subway.
Jersey Mike's all day. It's not even
You know what
close.
else
All day.
that Jersey Mike's does really well? I don't know how they do it, but they have like really good staff. The
Yeah.
Jersey Mike's near us, like dynamic, happy,
Yes.
like interpersonal.
Having fun is the name of the game.
It is.
Linnea is our girl. And then, like you have really good staff.
Yeah.
So you must have good culture to keep those
Yeah.
people. What are you dying about?
Fat
over
Jesus
that?
says Mrs. Monty does not like a limp, leaky burrito. Got it.
No,
Well played.
it's 100% true.
Teddy Wayman says Costa Vida is definitely better than Cafe Rio. No, it's not, Teddy Wayman.
I'll drop that mother.
Like you barely tried Costa Vida, so stop.
We were in Evanston over the weekend. We didn't go.
No, we didn't.
No.
Anyway,
No. The Big Mugamba says they're making those animals nervous. Stick with Jimmy John's. I'm not a Jimmy John's guy. Jeremy says I only have 37 Spartan stickers on my car. Okay, well, 37's acceptable.
Do you have the 16.2 sticker on your car?
No, 26.2.
26.2,
Like-
whatever that is. Whatever it is, dude. I don't know the distances.
a
I'm not a runner.
marathon.
Like,
God,
what do you want me to do?
God, can you hear me?
Oh boy,
Hey, God, is this thing on? God?
there's no God, so just give up.
Oh, damn.
Anyways,
Damn.
Hey guys,
I'm just saying. I speak the
Saudi
truth.
stooge.
Jesus.
God,
Nope.
if you can hear me, peel the stickers off of Jeremy's car now.
Yes.
Jeremy, you go.
Oh,
You go.
Greg Hawkins says Jimmy John's is mid. What does that mean?
You know what though? I've had some good Jimmy John's sandwiches, and the thing
And
is,
they are fast at delivering.
They are freaky fast.
Yeah, but
Yes.
they kill rhinos in the Sahara, so I'm not going there.
when I was at Amex, a few years back, that was the one place I could order lunch, and that would be there fast, and it was good. So I mean,
Wow, listen to this.
what?
JC Jordan Clarkson destroys ankles. My wife and I were fooled by online reviews to Italian Village.
Oh, God.
When the waitress is warning you not to order certain menu items, you should run.
Wow.
Bro.
What was that place we went to downtown in Trolley Square? I can't remember.
Oh, I can't remember the name of it. The really big Italian restaurant that.
Was not very good.
Oof, they were
Was
across
not.
the street from Whole Foods, across from that Water Tower Whole Foods, right?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
no, it's not good. Anyways, we need to remind you that we are giving away a trip for two to see BYU and Notre Dame play in the Shamrock Series at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas. October 7th and 8th is the dates of the trip. You get a trip for two, which includes 2 nights hotel, 2 tickets to the game, $250 and a gas card to drive yourself to Las Vegas. And all you have to do is subscribe to this channel. Give us a thumbs up right now. If you're here, all 194 of you that are here today, please do give us a thumbs up and a like. It really does help the channel grow. And by the way, it is all brought to you by our good friend Devry Davis at Academy Mortgage, 801-543-9666, NMLS number 278545. Devry Davis and Academy Mortgage are equal housing lenders. And I tell you every day on the show, man, if you think you can't afford to buy a house, call Devry Davis. No matter where you're listening, no matter where you're watching, call Devry Davis today, 801-543-9666, and just ask him, Devry, can I afford to buy a house? There's a house down the street. I want to buy it. Can I afford the down payment?
Yes.
He'll give you solutions for your down payment. Hey, man, I'm not sure if my credit's good enough. Okay, well, let's get you a pre-qualification letter. Devery Davis will make you a cash buyer. Whether you have full cash in your bank account or not, Devery Davis will give you the power to go into a home and make an offer on the spot. That's the kind of leverage you get when you work with Devery Davis and Academy Mortgage, NMLS number 278545. Devery Davis, Academy Mortgage, an equal housing lender. Call them today, 801-543-9666. Devery Davis presents our BYU Drive Away to see BYU and Notre Dame in the Shamrock Series at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas on October 8th. There you have it.
Woohoo!
Big announcement on the show Friday at 8 Mountain Time. Big changes, big news coming. Friday, 8 Mountain Time. Don't miss it. Huge announcement on the show. Music is rolling. Mrs. Monty, any last words today? Somebody asked about your necklace. What's up with the necklace?
Oh, it's a Hawaiian necklace. There's a guy who makes them here, but I wasn't prepared or I would have had his information. But yeah.
Wow, that's great insight on your necklace.
Hawaiian carved necklace.
Thanks. Okay, we'll see you later.
Yay,
Goodbye.
protect your colon.
There you go.
Goodbye.
Did you really just say protect your colon?
No one wants the explosive diarrhea. Wash your hands. Wash
Okay,
your
wow.
hands.
Wow.
Put your food fully.
This show is out of control, and that's why Jake's
We're
going to
blowing
say
out right now.
we're blowing out.
How?
Say goodbye, Jake.
Goodbye, Jake.